Hi everyone. Good to see you. How's the journey? Alright.
Hey man, Ty. You alright?
Yeah, man.
Alright, Jason.
Jason, Ty,
okay.
nice.
Cheers.
You okay?
Yeah.
Yep. They're in my bag back there.
Oh, alright, okay. No worries.
Honestly, don't take it the wrong way. Obviously,
Yeah, got it. Alright, ready?
let's get inside.
Modern science. What's that? Quran and modern science. Did you read that? There's a book there saying the Quran and modern science.
Oh yeah.
Go that way, Harry. Go that way. A little bit faster. Still going.
Right, can you slow down?
Go, guys.
These guys will go
Alright, mate.
Have we got the other banner? Like, we'll bring these again. Can we just bring these?
There is more leaflet here, is what we have to.
No, just things at the banner.
So people can see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this plastic box there.
I don't know where we're not. The hat and them on the end. Better. Better rather right here. Nice to get Victoria. I will not take the money. Definitely the hat. The hat. You thought these are what it's like for you. What is the top back here? I've brought these a few times now. It's wrapped and everything. Go get nothing. I've got the soapbox moving. Any of us that want to get on the video, do it. The big ones. Make sure the big ones.
I knew that was happening. All the public is starting to come over.
Brilliant.
There's some kicking about, mate.
Anyone want to go on a tunnel?
Yeah.
No, I've got to there in there.
You having a go?
I'm just making sure that the arm is practicing last time, bro.
I'm just at that attention.
I'm just practicing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you're looking at it.
Terrible. Yeah.
Sometimes I do.
Oh, I know. I'm on the phone to someone. I can't find the phone. Oh, I've done that. Right.
You're not allowed it? Okay, cool. It's just as well, it actually didn't work.
Yeah.
So you've got way hot tying into the banners.
Got what?
You can't tie them to the other railings.
Can't
You're not allowed to tie them.
Can we put it on the floor though?
You put the floor and you can't have this as well.
Okay.
You hold it, but you've got to bring it in, you're taking up way too much area.
Okay. Where do you line them up?
Because if you look about, that's our whole.
Yeah, it's part regulation speakers corner. You can't tie anything to
Oh, it says that
banners.
it's set aside from policies. Oh, wait,
No, part regulations now.
actually, well, you need to redefine what it says online. You just say that speakers corner is set aside from what's the word part regulations.
The policy is, part regulations clearly states you can't tie attaching the banners to the railings.
Okay, and that's what we've.
And also erect any kind of fixtures as well against that.
So that's not attached to that.
But it's a health and safety, you can't have that.
I mean, we'll be doing this all over the
No,
country.
there'd be part of the speakers.
Well, so what can we do with that? Can we put them on the floor?
You can put the floor, but you can't have that entire length. It's too big an area.
There's a lot of these.
Is it because it's coming out?
He's not just wrong. He's not just wrong.
If you look around, this is what.
That is.
I mean, this is what the public
Yeah,
was.
that is no. There is no grey area. That's what speakers corner.
Right, so we put it on the floor.
Yeah.
But
You've got to bring it in. You've got to bring it in.
Speaking though, so we have our own little voice. So like one
Who is it that owns that?
It's Royal Parks.
Royal Parks Smoking Spaces regulations or statute.
But it does say it's set aside on that.
Can we get
policy?
Can we get?
no, I read it. That's right.
Yeah, but that's policy, not regulation.
Can we get written proof that it's owned by that part?
Yeah, it's going to have to.
No, well, if we've all got our own little bit, but we're standing in front, so we can have it a bit longer then. We're all doing our own thing, aren't we? On the same thing, but we're all... So we get round here this way, so like all of us round here, all of us round here.
We don't have this charity. With the police, we enforce.
Yeah, but if you're enforcing the law,
Yeah.
you need to be able to back it up. So.
Yeah, here it is. This is not backing up.
You're showing me the law, you're not showing me
who owns this place, who you're enforcing it for. Because if you're enforcing it for a corporation, it's not a law.
No, don't argue with me. Obviously, I asked you to leave speaker's rule now, and your day will be finished. Yeah, okay? Right, nothing to do with it's Queensland. Royal Parks is a charity. Royal Parks and Open Spaces Regulations gives us power to enforce the law to statute. Okay?
So what she said before, we all have our own band.
We've got our own things that want to say. So we're all like, say I stand here, and someone stands there.
Yeah, but you can't have it on fixture.
No, we'll move that. We'll put that flat.
Okay, you've got to bring this in. There's too much area, and obviously you've got to take it off the railing.
Right, we'll take it off the railing. But what if we're spread out? Because there's about 15 of us saying things.
That's fine. And what the message here is great. I fully support that. We have to keep this.
You're doing your job.
We have to keep it fair for everybody else.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, we get that.
Yeah, but we have to.
He's doing his job. He's doing his job. He said he likes what we're doing as well. So
I'm a druid, so I'm so it's right on number one of my top list.
Nice.
So, alright.
Wow. You know to do with it. I think in Liverpool we've got quite a big area to set aside. And like Everton, Street,
so I want you here, believe me.
Alright.
I have to say your morals as being a druid, obviously like spiritual guy.
What's the fundamental core of being a druid?
You are one of the earth.
Okay, he's been an arbiter, peacemaker.
Alright, yeah.
That's the number one. Always make the peace first of all.
Do you want to start us
so being a police officer.
Nobody's reading.
Exactly.
I know. He's just doing his job.
So let's
I'm
get
just
on
doing mine as an activist.
I'm all for you.
Instead of carrying this on, let's get cracking.
I'm part of Warriors called for the cracking, so I'm all over it. But
it's good to see police officers speaking the truth.
So what should we do?
But I know what we're doing. Go with it, and we'll do.
Love having you here. It gives a bit of balance from religion as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Of course, it's filming us. He didn't ask for our permission.
I don't understand, is this comfortable bars? How do I know?
This is perspective, the way it works when you're looking out with the right and always the eyes.
If those didn't exist, I jumped up, I'd float away. Well, that doesn't happen. Think about that seriously, logically for a second. I don't float away because I'm not made of. Have you been to one? So anything is life in there, floats up. Anything that's not
We'll go back 100 years ago, mate.
Now that's against the rotation.
The rest of it is nonsensical when you start thinking about it, but we're not taught to think about it. We're taught to this is how it is, and this is how it is, and go away and just learn how it is, because we've told you how it is. But when you start questioning how it is, it doesn't measure up in real life. And that's why we're here now, because we've found there's just too many anomalies, fake photographs, fake images. These people, NASA, these astronauts, right, basically, I don't call them astronauts anymore, they're astronauts. These are, you've got like the blue and the green screen type scenarios, you know, like your weathermen, we go on the screen, you've got the blue screens behind them, they've got all that stuff. Now they're pretending that they're in this magical ISS space station, which is supposedly deception must be made of, and it must be made of gold or something that will be so soft.
And so I'll probably get it all wrong anyway.
Okay, well let's do it right. Convince me.
Well, again, as I just said to that gentleman, I'm hoping to give you a few seeds of doubt, you know, because I could never convince you. Not after how many years of education in 5 minutes. I could just show you a few banners on the floor.
Let's
okay,
try. Let's
go for it. First things first. For me, we think there's a problem with NASA. We think the whole deception comes from NASA. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to... This is the bit that's going to... Right, there you go. Yeah, so we think that all this deception comes from NASA. So we have to discredit this first. Okay. Science tells us that it's cold in space. Yep. Okay, that it's 0 degrees and minus 0 degrees. Okay. Because there's no air molecules in that. But there's a problem with that because there's it also gets as hot as 2,000 degrees and 2,500 degrees. Science also tells us. Now, with that's because there is direct heat and radiative heat. So you've got direct heat and radiative heat. So direct heat needs air molecules to transfer from one to the other. Yep. But radiative heat travels through space.
That's true.
Okay, and then it has to hit an object. Yep. And once it hits an object, then it's that heats up. Yep. Okay, so that will heat up to 2,000, 2,500 degrees Celsius. Okay, the problem with that is, what is the melting point of their metals? Aluminium and titanium. They're 660 and 1,600 degrees Celsius. So anything in space with radiative heat cannot survive. It cannot be up there. So that's why we don't believe in satellites up there. We know satellites to be using E-LORAN, enhanced LORAN, been using it since the 50s. They use cellular triangulation, cell tower triangulation, and they for longer distance they use the ionosphere and use tropospheric ducting and bounce radio signals off that. That's what our GPS is. I mean, a lot of people, if you ask them and say, well, where's your mobile phone go? They think it goes to a satellite. I haven't even thought that we've got cell towers nearly every, 100 yards or something going around us. They're everywhere now. So that's my biggest problem. That's that. Okay.
But that's the thing.
Well, I've got like it's a jigsaw puzzle. It's a big jigsaw puzzle. So we've got 500 pieces. So I just showed you one piece.
What made you kind of like? What was your seed of doubt?
Well, all my life I had a problem with seasons. Seasons on the globe. I've only been a flat earther for 1 year, but seasons on the globe Earth all my life. A teacher never fully explained it where I was satisfied. I thought they were fucking idiots. Like programmed parroting idiots. We've got this sun and we've got it shooting parallel sun rays. It's at 93 million miles away, and it's supposed to point, I think it's 91 million miles away. Okay, so I know we've got an axis, we've got a tilt, but as it's spinning round, the distance from we're talking 3 million miles, but here on Earth, if I go from here to somewhere that's really cold, like let's say the North Pole right now, and it's ice and it's cold, and then it's really hot and sunny and on the equator, I mean, let's say a 3,000 mile difference. So I'm sorry, I mean, like, seasons don't work for me. Not when we're talking about the sun being 93 million miles away, because we're talking about the sun gets 3 million miles closer. Well, we'd all
why do you get snow on mountain tops but not at base of the mountain?
Sorry?
How come you get snow on mountain tops but the base of the mountain very, very hot? If what you're saying is why would that small difference in distance from the sun matter? Well, self-evidently it matters within the range of a mountain.
Well, yeah.
Even Tenerife, there's a very small mountain that's got snow on top in the middle of the summer, and the bottom of Tenerife is very hot and balmy.
Yeah.
So doesn't that disprove that specific point that you just made?
In what way? I don't think
if I understood you correctly, you're saying because the sun is so long away.
The question was, how did I get involved in this? And that was the reason.
No, but you were just talking about how can the distance from the sun.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's how I got involved, because none of that.
Do you see my point about mountains? Doesn't that kind of answer that little quandary?
Really? Oh, I'll have to give it a lot of thought. I'll have to give it some thought. That's all I can do.
I think because I kind of just disproved that one line of evidence that you were using. Mountains having snow on.
But anyway, so going on here, we actually actually believe that in our summer, we believe that the sun is close and local here, okay? And then in our winter, it goes out in towards Australia way, and then that's their summer and that's our winter. So we believe that the sun, you know, based on we believe that it's a lot closer. We believe it's a lot smaller. We believe that, you know, like sun and moon. So we don't believe that they're 93 million miles away. How could we ever prove that? It's a ridiculous claim.
Can I ask you a follow-up question to what this gentleman said?
Yeah, go on.
If you said you had to do some research on it, correct?
Yes, and I will do.
Would you, if you figured out that, like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because I can't know everything. I mean, like, I can challenge some things of what I've learned, but I couldn't possibly know.
If you went away and researched,
and I will. And look, I'll tell you what to do.
Conclusion, well, yeah, he's got a point.
I will post it. Yeah. No. Truth seeker. Yeah. Truth seeker. Oh no, I've got. That's just one piece of the 500-piece jigsaw puzzle.
Okay, I was just curious, like, if you would be willing to, like, say you did more research and then figured out, like, okay, well, I'm open to the idea that the Earth might be round.
Oh no, I've got 499 pieces to go.
Is that a visual representation of what you believe?
No, that was a visual representation of how close the sun and moon are, and how the seasons
do you think they go round in a circle above the disk?
Yes. And yeah, it is. I mean, like, I'd say, like, it could be infinite. It could carry on forever.
New moons and half moons, how are they explained? They're just going round above the disk.
Well, there's a better chap for me to explain it here. There's Dave Marsh who would be able to talk you all the way through. It's very complicated.
Why does the half the moon disappear every month?
As I say, it's quite a complicated subject. It's all to do with geometry and things. And Dave Marsh,
are they rotating at the same speed?
The best.
Sorry? Are they rotating at the same speed on the same orbit, the moon and the sun?
Well, it must be a variable, because if you're having one time of light and one time of night, with which the other light it's not as bright, so obviously there must be a constant speed of both objects.
I'm not sure if degree of brightness demonstrates that at all. I presume they could crash, the sun and the moon.
Really?
Are they on separate orbits?
Well, it could be. There's lots of facts that we don't know. We're trying to get people. To challenge these facts.
How would the tide?
We're trying to get people to use critical
pattern of tides.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really work on a globe model, does it? I mean, like,
there seems to be a lot of basic facts that.
I mean, you've got a moon that goes around the Earth, once for every 24 hours, and yet we've got two lots of tides. And then if it's going around, you know, in the same orbit going round, okay, why have we got tides that's 20 foot over there, and over there it's only going at 1 foot, and then another large bodies of water, it's not even moving at all. There is no tides.
Are all planets like this? Mars,
You've just
Jupiter.
glossed over that complete thing,
well, yeah.
And that's the problem. So you're trolling. You're trolling. I'll talk to you. You're trolling.
No, it's interesting.
I know, but I want to make a point, and you just completely glossed over. I've got to explain myself.
Hold up. But you also glossed over something that he said earlier.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, no, I said I'd go away and I would.
We're glossing over each other. We're not listening to each other.
Well, no, that's not fair.
Ask one of your colleagues.
Did I not turn around and say that? I don't know that, and I'll have to go away and I'll ask
any of your colleagues?
I did say that.
Are any of your colleagues more knowledgeable on that?
On the moon part?
No, going back to the snow on mountains and distance from the sun.
Well, it's the first one I've ever heard anyone say that, so I really don't know. So yeah, I mean, it's a good point.
Can we get someone? Can we get someone over here? Do you know anyone that would be like
that would know that one? I really don't know that bit.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of us are all individuals that we don't really. We're not part of a collective. We're all individuals.
If you want to move on and make make it big, you should be a collective, right?
You come here as a collective.
Yeah, it's difficult because sometimes you can be infiltrated, can't you?
They use some parts of other scientists' information, but they're never a collective. They're never a collective because they're individuals. They want to get awarded for their individualism. No scientist wants to be put as a pair to collect something.
That's absolutely wrong.
No,
Teams of scientists.
no. Yes, they work. They work to collaborate, but not to say that they want to take.
Papers, more often than not, more than one name. You're not talking facts, I'm afraid.
Oh, I am.
Look at scientific. Go to the places where science papers are published and peer reviewed.
Right.
They're typically not
controlled.
They're not typically
completely controlled.
All of them.
Yeah, completely controlled. Yeah.
All branches of science.
Yeah, I would say branches of science. Branches of science towards our physics, understanding, and NASA. Yeah.
Why are they controlled? That's another.
What
is the whole aim
misinformation?
Of this?
Okay.
For what purpose?
2018, and we still not discovered what gravity is. 2018.
What do you mean? In what way have we not discovered gravity?
Proved gravity. 2018. See, and that's it. That's your proof. Did you see that, ladies and gentlemen?
But there are physicists that understand it. It's the power of the
mass.
No,
but that's what I'm saying. That's why we're all that's why we're all parroting that at school.
What aspect of gravity is not understood?
What I'm saying is that you say to a child, that's gravity.
That's a very simplistic,
so you're showing something, but you're not explaining what it is.
Newton understood it.
I can use a toaster, but I don't understand quite.
Okay, so gravity, because that's nonsense. That
the force of the mass.
Okay, even Einstein knew that was nonsense, and that's why he came up with relativity and the bending of time and space, and he knew that was nonsense. Okay, so Newton come up with his.
Sorry,
I'm sorry. I'm not going to keep you.
I'll try not to.
No, that's okay. But anyway,
are you a scientist yourself? Should I say? Sorry, are you a scientist yourself?
I studied biology as my field.
Okay, but anyway, so that's probably the problem, isn't it? It's education and
almost an ad hominem.
And cognitive dissonance. That's the problem. That's the problem with a lot of educated people.
What's your field of expertise or knowledge?
I've been a fisherman. I've been a plasterer. I've been a plasterer.
A plasterer. Sorry.
Yeah, so I've had various jobs and that. My field of expertise is life and knowing a little bit. Well, since being a flat earther, learning a little bit of physics and general science now. But I do know what you perceive as gravity is nothing short of density and buoyancy. It always was density and buoyancy. It's just that the molecules in that are heavier than the air around it. That's all it is. And it moves down, and therefore buoyancy of the air wants to rise above it. That's all that is. That's why when I get a football and I put it in the water and I have to hold it down, and if I take the foot off, it wants to bounce back up. It's density and buoyancy. There's no such thing of two masses being pulled together. That chap there, Henry Cavendish, he tried to prove it, and he was successful in I forget how many years. 1797. He was the first person to successfully demonstrate that two masses can be shown to be pulled together. And yet you can't repeat it, and you can't repeat it, and no one else can repeat that successfully in this day and age of 2018.
I don't know too much
and
about
that's your science, that's peer reviewed. That's your science, that's peer reviewed. And I say, yes, it's controlled. And this is also, science that's peer reviewed, which is Airy's failure, which tells you, that the Earth isn't spinning.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Like, for example, you seem pretty sure, right?
Oh, I am on a few bits like these, yes.
But for example, this with the sun and the moon, and it's a flat disc.
No, you keep saying disc, but because it's mainstream programming, they say disc.
Okay.
We don't know the shape or the model of the Earth. We haven't got a clue.
This is just an imagination.
We're saying that.
I'm not.
Oh no. It's okay. No. We've agreed that maybe space could be infinitely expanding. But it's hard for us to say that a plane on the Earth that was stood that could be infinite. Yep. I mean, Admiral E. Byrd. Did I mention that before? If you go to Admiral E. Byrd, he's on YouTube, he says on an interview, it's back in the 50s, black and white it is, he says in an interview, you've seen it, have you? He says in this interview, he said that beyond the poles, the South Pole, there is more land, bigger than America itself, with more mineral opportunities and all of that. And he says that. Now he's an admiral, he's not just some schmuck in a boat, he just went down. He took 3,500 troops down there to Antarctica.
Good evening, this is Frank Knight. May I introduce our co-editors for this edition of the Longines Chronoscope? Larry Lasser, CBS News correspondent, and Kenneth Crawford, National Affairs Editor of Newsweek magazine. Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
The North Pole used to be a no-man's land, but these are the days when, by buying a ticket on a commercial airliner, you can fly across the North Pole and drink a cocktail at the same time. Yet only 60 or more years ago, about 35 years ago, our guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent. He made that first discovery flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Well, Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
And now, when he come back and he finished that expedition, they've closed off Antarctica. It's now got an Antarctic treaty that stops you going, me going. And if you do want to go, you can pay £80,000 on a holiday. You have to be shown around. You're only allowed to go in about 20 miles, and you're not allowed to go any further. And if you take your own yacht down, you'll be sent away. And if you want to persist, you'll be arrested, because chaps in Norway have been arrested. You're not allowed to go to Antarctica. Now, Admiral E. Byrd says there's more land beyond it. So is that the biggest reason? Is it the biggest lie in the world? We don't know. I'm assuming that could be the point of it all.
If they want that, they keep that land like dominated by humans and the elite. Yeah, the elite. Preserve that land.
Yes, yes. I don't know. What I do know is that if we're going to war for this, that and the other, and they always seem like stupid reasons, for me, that the world is controlled by psychopaths of this world. You know, like there have to be psychopaths to keep perpetuating all this war. So yeah, it's something to check out, as Eric DeBay. You know, did you get a leaflet? You did. You got a leaflet. Look, this is one of my biggest reasons. It's like it's land that you shouldn't see. I mean, that land there. I mean, that's on top. That's Blackpool Promenade, and you can see the Isle of Man, and that's 65 miles away. We shouldn't see it because spherical trigonometry says 8 inches per square mile over the curvature of the Earth. 8 inches per square mile. You shouldn't see any of that land. It should be gone. The highest peak is 2,000 feet, and yet you can. Can you see that or not? And it's not photoshopped. That was in the Black Bull Gazette. You know, like a chap took all these photos. But then that's Dover to Calais to Dover. If you stand on Calais, you can see Dover. I mean, like that's a picture there. You can see Dover in the back, and then zoomed in again, and then zoomed in again, and then you can see. Well, with that spherical trigonometry, 300 feet should be missing. The highest peak there is 350 feet. So you should see maybe a little peak of it, 50-foot peak. But you can't. You can see the whole lot.
But to me, with the calculation, there's two things for me that proves it's a lie. Two things. Either the maths is the lie for the curvature of the Earth, or the Earth physical realm that we stand on is the lie, that we're not being told exactly how big it is or what the distance is. So there's only two things. One of them's got to be right.
So it's either flat or the sphere is much bigger than they say.
So mathematicians are either lying to us for what they give out, the calculations, or NASA for the science governing body.
But the sphere could only be the sphere could only be bigger if we believe in gravity and water sticking to the exterior of a ball. Because you know, if I have a ball here and then pour water over it, that water's going to fall out, just like that picture there. It's just going to fall off, isn't it? So we have to believe in this magical force called gravity. for that, you know, for that to work. I mean, like, if it's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, then all the seas and water should be centrifugal force should be like thrown off into space. But no, we've got this magical force of gravity pulling it all together, and it's so powerful. It can hold us down, hold all the oceans down. It can hold the moon in orbit, and yet helium balloons and butterflies say, "Yeah, I don't care, not interested." And, yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I've just looked at it. That's all.
Sorry.
Why if the Earth is flat? Why scientists and governments and everybody?
You've gone straight for the why. Is that what you do if in a murder crime scene? You've got to figure out the how first. What is actually happening? You've gone straight in for the why. I'm not going to investigate this murder. I want to know why first. Who does that? How would we know that answer? We'd have to get someone to court, we'd have to get a jury, and then we'd prosecute that person and say, now tell us why. Who is that person? So no, we don't know. I can hypothesize, I can give you a theory, but I can't give you a fact, I'm afraid, because, okay, so Admiral, sorry, I'm repeating myself. Admiral E. Byrd, okay, took 3,500 troops down to Antarctica, and you can see, you can check it on your phones on YouTube. It's in the 1950s or so. Admiral E. Byrd. So he takes these troops down, and then he takes a flight to the South Pole and beyond the South Pole. And then he said he'd come across more seas and then more land bigger than the continent of America, with more mineral opportunities. And now that's Admiral E. Byrd. Check it out. So that could be the biggest reason why is, well, yeah, I mean, like, more diamonds coming into the market, more gold coming into the market, more oil coming into the market, and we don't know where it's coming from. Could be, we don't know. So that could be a biggest reason. And the other biggest reasons why is, do you know NASA is getting £53 million per day? All the starving people around the world, all the hungry and homeless and all that. Do you think 53 million pounds? Well, we believe NASA is the biggest deception. That's why you believe that there's a you only believe there's an Earth because you've seen pictures.
Yeah, okay, but the fact that the Earth is round is not like it was before that the commercial like the consumption society and everything. But just really before that.
Okay.
So, yeah. So it doesn't really.
So I really didn't catch.
Yeah, sorry. The fact that the Earth is a circle.
Okay. Do you think it is because
they discovered this really before that we were thinking about we need more oil, more petrol and everything.
Sorry, and that's the bit I didn't catch.
I think the problem that you're talking about the thing that they can find other things, minerals and diamonds, this is like an actual problem that wasn't there before when we discovered the Earth.
So after Admiral E. Byrd went there, why did we have an Antarctic treaty signed by 53 countries? We're having wars all around the world, and we're arguing, you know, like, and we're fighting when people are dying, and yet these 53 countries are still signed up and have never, faltered. They're still signed up today, and you can't go to Antarctica. You can't go to Antarctica. And if you do go, you'll be arrested and you'll be put in prison. You cannot go. All we're trying to do is, because we can't convince you in 5 minutes, it's not going to happen. You've got an education, but the thing is, I mean, like, your biggest reason is pictures from space, I would imagine. You've seen pictures of the Earth. Looks like a globe. But we deny that. We deny that NASA actually is going into space. We deny it. We know how the thermosphere works. We know how temperature works. You know, like, grab one of them, by the way.
It's like, whatever, if the Earth is flat, it's okay. If it's a circle, it's okay. What would they lie? I mean, we absolutely don't care. I mean, if it's flat, we will say, okay,
you don't care now, but if society breaks down tomorrow because of all this, you'll be caring.
But I mean, what would they...
No, it's okay, because my wife doesn't care. You know, like, we all don't stand up for things. I felt as though that there's lots of causes in the world, and I never stood up to be counted. I do actually care a little bit, but you know, like, people homeless and, you know, like, dying all around the world, and I've never done anything about it. You know, I'll probably give to the odd charity here and there. And this is something I passionately believe in. I care a lot. I believe that, you know, like, people are being lied to at school. I mean, like, the way school works is that you were given a globe at the age of maybe 4 or 5, and you believed it without question. You didn't have the ability to critically think for yourself. You know, like, so all your life you went through that. And when did you ever challenge it? We don't challenge it because we've seen the globe on TV, on magazines and books and all that. We don't challenge never challenge it at all. And so to this day, you know, I was 47 years old and I never challenged it at all. You know, just believe it. It's a given, it's an obvious. But then your teacher never challenged it, and their teacher never challenged it. And you asked them to, can you demonstrate that? Can you give me facts? And they said, well, no, you need to just pass this for an exam. That's all you've got to do. You just got to pass your exam, so you have to believe it, otherwise you're not going to get that qualification.
But do we say then that all rockets sent to space are...
Well, we see it go up, and then we see it go off, don't we? But you've never seen a rocket go up, all the way up. I mean, that would be the quickest way to space, wouldn't it? Straight up, instead of going up and then going off on a big journey.
I mean, there's certain things that you need to, you know, counteract.
Maybe.
We'll have to agree.
But look into that part, you know, rockets in space.
I mean, we have hopes on your teacher, right?
Well, obviously, I don't believe in like the moon landing and SpaceX. Well, that's ridiculous. The car in space.
But what's the deal there? Why is that fake?
Yes. Oh, most definitely fake.
Say it's fake.
On there's a website address. Okay. I was talking about Freeman Law and all that. So my name is Jason of the Disbury family because I'm not part of an admiralty. Because when you talk Mr. and Mrs. and all that, they're admiralty dames. So when you go to that site, you'll see my there's a link in there called Jason of the Disbury family. Go to there because there's on my YouTube account I have proof why SpaceX was faking the launch.
Could you give me like in a nutshell?
Oh God, there's so many nutshells. There's green. You know what green screen looks like? Okay. Well, green screen uses layering. Okay. So in that you can have a green screen, you can have a background and that, and then they can present layers to this green screen. Okay. So if you look on the footage, now I put this footage online. It was taken from the actual live footage, and you can check, verify all this. You'll see there's glitches. You'll see the Earth moving and glitching and moving, but the car is nice and steady going round. You'll see the Earth all lit up, all bright in daylight, and yet the camera's looking at the car that's in complete shade and shadow, completely black, and the whole Earth is lit up. It's like, where is this sun? You know, why is the sun lighting up the Earth in daylight and the car's completely black? You need to look at the footage a bit more clearly with critical thinking, because again, we just kind of, oh, that's good, I put a car in space, oh, brilliant. But challenge it and look at it, and there's a million other anomalies. Or what else would I say? There's on the windscreen, it starts off completely polished and clear, and then later on you can see a build-up of condensation on the windscreen, complete condensation. Check that out. Why is there condensation on the windscreen? You can't have that in the vacuum of space, but it's there. You know, like there's lots more, but check that video out. It's proof why we did not go that SpaceX did not go put a car in space. You know?
What happens to the rockets when they go to the top? You said we never see them go up.
Well, we see them go out of our perspective. They seem to go up, and then you see this, they arc over, and then they go off in the distance, and then just carry on. And then it's good talking to you. Yeah.
I gotta go as well.
Yeah, look, it's really good talking to you. Enjoyed it. All right then, buddy.
Doesn't spray out. Not on top, it's an open tube. So if I tip it upside down, the water will pour
So is the Book of Mormon, and you know, all these books. I'll start with this. Right, you can see it.
You see the Bible.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I'm going to love and leave you.
Yeah.
What a day. So
it's a shame we did.
fabulous.
I put my bloody banner down. That really annoyed me.
Old Bill, old Bill.
Yeah. Bastards. Are you enjoying it then? Yeah. Good. Get working, lads. Come on, chop chop. Anyway, look. So our biggest reason.
So you think the Earth is flat?
Well, no. You think the Earth is a ball.
Yeah.
You believe that the Earth is a ball, but we know the Earth is flat. There's the difference.
But how
because
do you know it?
Well, I'll tell you how we know it. Because we can see lands that you shouldn't be able to see. Okay. So this is Blackpool Promenade. Okay, and that's the Isle of Man. On a good clear day, you can see the Isle of Man. But based on Pythagoras Theorem and spherical trigonometry, 8 inches per squared going over the curvature of the Earth, okay?
Yeah.
Based on 65 miles, that should be 2,500 feet of hidden curvature. The highest mountain is Snaefell, and that's 2,000 feet. You shouldn't be able to see that. But even in Calais, if you're in Calais, this is Calais here, and that's the White Cliffs of Dover, zoomed in again and zoomed in again, based on 24 miles, 300 feet should be hidden. Now the highest peak on the White Cliffs of Dover, 350 feet.
But why aren't you able to see everything when the Earth is flat?
As in, why can't I see Brazil?
If it is flat, you should be able to see it with a...
That's because you haven't accounted in like atmospheric conditions and dust particles, and let's say we start having a little bit of mist or something, and you can only see like 50 feet in front of you. We don't say that. Oh no, it's always like that. Yeah. It's atmospheric. Even though you can't see it, there's atmosphere here, right? And it gets more blurry and blurry in the distance, and that's what it is. And then perspective. Look at them people down there. Now, they look about, say about 1 inch. They're about 1 inch. But we know, so in the distance, things get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until infinity, you can't see past a particular point. That's all what's happening in the distance.
But what happens if you reach the end?
Because you've been programmed to think there's an end. Yeah. And I was programmed. I'm just like you. Yeah, I believe that as well. Okay. Because I mean, like, I'm on this mat here. We can see an edge. So there has to be an edge, but in space we kind of think that the universe could be infinite with no proof. You know, a very ever-expanding universe that could be infinite. Okay, but why can't land be like that? Why can't land be infinite? Now we know water has to be contained, so there wouldn't be an edge because we know the dynamics and behaviour of water. Water has to be contained. Even in a lake, it's got to be contained. A river, an ocean, a sea, it's all got to be contained. So we have what we say we've got the South Pole, the Antarctica pole, right the way round, round, okay, and that is our inner edge. That's our bowl, our container.
But in the end, you need to have like a border that contains the water.
Okay, but have we got a border on our beaches?
No, we don't.
Okay, but water kind of comes up and that's what happens in Antarctica, doesn't it? We've got 200
so you think it's more like a bowl.
Okay.
This is live broadcast from the NASA space station.
Okay, and you believe that? Because I can show you a film of Superman.
Say again?
I can show you a film of Superman. You believe that? You've fallen for that.
Why would they want to convince
well, you see,
us
that's like going to a murder scene and saying, I don't want to know about the facts and all that. Let's just do why.
I want to know basically why.
No one's ever been taken to court. No one's ever been taken to court. You can only get a why from someone if you're taken to court and get a jury, and then we all agree that he's now given us the why, and that's the truth. That's where that would come from.
Like all of these, who's exactly trying to hide this fact?
Okay, well, we know that NASA is the biggest deception. That's what NASA's been created for.
So,
you know, like you'll see
what is the purpose?
Okay, one of the sorry, I've been taken away. I hope you're listening as well. You know, like one of the biggest purposes is Antarctica. On your phone, check out Admiral E. Byrd. Okay, he took 3,500 troops down to Antarctica. He's on an interview in in America. Okay, and then in that interview he says that he went beyond the South Pole and seen more seas and more land, an abundance of more land, bigger than the continent of America. Bigger.
Yeah, Antarctica is a continent on its own.
Well, he's an admiral, so is he a thick admiral that took three?
No, it is
what I'm saying is he went beyond the South Pole and then and then he found more land. That's what he says in his interview. So if you're asking for a why, that could be a huge why. Huge. And he's on YouTube. Go and check him out for yourself. And again, he's on YouTube, just like NASA. You know, you're right. It could be fake.
That was a live feed. That was a live feed from the space station.
It's meant to be a live feed for 24 hours, 7 days a week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Try it. You'll see it's just on a loop. Try it. No such thing as a live feed coming from NASA. They can't even be up there. Not if you know how the thermosphere works and the temperatures. Cannot be there. Cannot sustain the temperatures in there. It's very cold in space. Heard that term? Cold, vacuum, no air molecules to transfer heat. So we've got radiative heat, because no air molecules is direct heat, but we have radiative heat. The sun gives off radiative heat. Any object that is in space will be hit and bombarded with radiative heat. And if it's bombarded with that, the temperatures rise up to 2,500 degrees Celsius. 2,500 degrees Celsius. If that's the case...
I think you'll only see temperatures like that when you actually travel at speed through atmosphere, not actually out in space.
That's not my numbers. That's science.com. Take it up with them. That's not my numbers. I don't believe in the rubbish, you know. Like, but that's what I'm kind of like knocking it on its head. If that's what science wants to give you, that's their numbers. So yeah, that's something you've made.
The title of this page is melting points.
Okay, well, because these things are made from aluminium and titanium, and the melting point is 660 degrees and 1,600. Okay, so things would melt. Satellites in space would melt.
No, you're just taking for granted that is there an edge? The space station is
only people who are programmed to believe that.
No, is there an edge?
Only people that are programmed to believe that. Because why would you say an edge? Where does that come from?
Flat.
Okay, so everything flat in the world has an edge.
Yeah.
Okay, really?
Flat has an edge.
Okay, really? That's just a rectangle, a square. You know, like.
So what is?
Okay, so space.
The universe is Earth.
And do you believe that space is an ever-expanding, infinite space? It goes on forever. That's what science says. Okay, so why can't land be that?
Say again?
Why can't land be that?
Because we've actually circumnavigated
Circumnavigated, which is going round east and west. Do you know no one has ever circumnavigated north to south? People only go round the continents. There has never been an expedition in history for anyone to go north and south. We've got solar power planes now that can fly up there for months at a time, and yet in this day and age, 2018, no one's gone north to south.
Yeah, satellites have.
Satellites? Yeah. They're in space.
That's why you can call guys.
They're in space. Really? You think you are the only one here that believes that your phone goes to a satellite? Everybody else thinks they go to cell towers.
They go to cell towers.
Right. Okay, so they go to cell towers, and that's where GPS is. GPS is nothing more. GPS is nothing more than ELOREN. Enhanced LOREN, been using it since the 50s or so, and all they're using.
Sat phones.
Okay.
They broadcast on a different frequency and have a different antenna.
Okay. So what are all?
Communications is my business.
Is it okay? Well, then you've been misled. You've been lied to, and all of these communications.
I'm also a licensed radio amateur for around 42 years.
Well, you don't know where these signals are coming from.
Well, I do.
Do you?
Yes, it's called the F1, F2.
Really? I can't see them. I can't see them.
Atmosphere.
What I'm saying is that you're getting them from towers again.
Right.
That's all you're getting it from. Towers. They cannot be in space.
Obviously, you can't see them. It's a different wavelength.
Well, of course, that's right. I was being sarcastic. Sorry.
Radio waves.
And I'm not trying to be rude as well. Sometimes
I just want to know the why. I mean,
it's a difficult question. I could only ever give theories. And I'd say Admiral E. Byrd and land. And the other thing is NASA. NASA gets £53 million per day to lie to us and give us cartoons.
A commercial FM radio station. I'm sorry.
Okay, wrong about what? Sorry.
Sat phones.
Okay, sat phones. You think that they go to satellites?
I know.
Okay, could they not go to satellite balloons? Okay.
Probably not. No.
But you know there is satellite balloons.
Oh yes, but they tend to be used more for weather measurement.
And yet
they're temporary as well. They don't stay like in geosatellite.
And yet NASA has actually bought all the. They own 90% of all the helium in the world. Why are they using all that helium in the world? 90% of all the helium in the world.
Experimentation.
Weather control. We have.
Well, there is that. Yeah, I'll go for that. They do a lot of weather control. I believe that.
Developing a lot of technology to actually
still use helium balloons and have done for.
But anyway, I'm very.
It's nothing to do with sat phones.
I'm very confident that you've been misled, only because I know how. What's it? Radiative heat works and direct heat.
Right. So why do we have like eclipses then?
Okay.
An eclipse. Why do we have that?
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
there's no rotation.
I can only give you the facts that I know. I don't want to give you the theories of what I know. Okay, that's the thing, because but that's the thing. You are happy and content to accept these theories as facts, as proofs, because that's why you get the theory of gravity and the theory of relativity. You're happy with that, but I'm not.
Do we agree that the eclipse is actually the moon basically being on the same trajectory as the sun?
I have a problem with the eclipse, okay? My problem is an object creating a smaller shadow than itself. I have a problem with that. I don't know where in science I can create a shadow smaller than the self. Yeah? Yeah, you're looking at that. That was my mistake in the early days. You spotted that. You're the first person ever to spot that. Well done. You know what I was talking about? What it is, when I first became a flat earther, when I first got my banner, I did the most stupidest thing, because he's right, that eclipse should be on the earth. And he was looking at it, I could see his face, and it's like, cringing. So, yeah.
Okay.
I put my hands on that. That was my stupidity.
Let me tell you one thing about a sat phone. A sat phone can work in somewhere where there's no cell phone towers. Okay. On condition it can see a satellite.
Yeah. But you don't know where that satellite is,
okay,
though.
well, hang on a minute. Forget about where the satellite is, but there's no cells. This is the whole idea of cellular phones. It works on cellular technology.
But that's what they invented, ionosphere technology and bouncing signals off.
The frequencies at which cell phones and cellular technology operate is pretty much line of sight.
Okay.
It has to be line of sight to the next cell, and that's how it's built up.
And
Sat phones are completely 180 degrees out of phase and work on a different technology. The only thing they have in common is one, they're a phone, and two, they're using radio waves.
Okay.
But the antenna's different. If you've ever seen a sat phone,
that's
the
fine.
antenna's short but fat.
That's fine.
It operates on a different frequency. When you change the wavelength of a radio signal, you need a different. The antenna's got to be.
Does it work on the same principle as like satellite dishes?
Not really.
Isn't it? Satellite dishes using satellites?
Predominantly for receive, although you can transmit with them, but you don't need to. And it's of course it's impractical to have a satellite dish on the end of the phone.
Okay, it's just that we're spinning round at 1,000 miles an hour, and the very fact that we're actually.
No problem. So how sat phones work, they can jump from satellite to satellite.
Okay.
The technology allows them to have a pretty much seamless communications, regardless. As long as they can see a satellite, normally they can communicate. So remember, we're operating in a.
Is it possible that you are misled?
Zero.
Why do you say that?
Because I have the scientific knowledge and experience of the operation of radio signals. I'm sorry, it's my business.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm trying not to get passionate enough to.
I don't want to start talking about planets because
I'm
not a scientist.
No, we're talking about.
When it comes to,
okay, that's fine.
This wonderful phone here that costs a fifth of the cost of an iPhone, but is dual SIM and twice as good, made in good old China. I do know how it works.
Can I ask one thing of you then?
Yes.
Okay, and that was just research the melting points and the thermosphere. Research them temperatures and then tell me, can a satellite? I'll even leave a. I'll give you a leaflet. I'll give you a card, and you can send me a comment if you've researched it.
I'm only looking at the title of that paper, which says melting points, which is really
because
something nothing to do with the ionosphere and atmosphere.
Well, because
it's like everything has a melting point.
Well,
diamond has a melting.
That's right. So your satellites can't work out there in space. They can't work.
Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they?
Because of radiative heat.
No.
Well, no. Yes. How do you think our planet is being heated up? Do you think it's direct heat?
Okay, first of all, they've got protective shields
that can stand up to over 2,500 degrees Celsius.
That thing's not static. That thing's moving.
Okay.
So when your satellite,
regardless, it's still in them satellites.
The sun's there.
Yeah, but they're still in contact with the sun all the time, aren't they? They're in space.
Because when it's over there, there's absolutely no sun rays hitting it. It's blown by the earth.
Okay, but it's still going to take some time to get round, isn't it?
Yeah.
How quick do you think?
So they're protective shields. I think they've done the math properly.
No. It's just that I don't shields for 2,500 degrees.
Wait,
I mean, when I put a chicken in the oven at 200.
Neil Armstrong, were they ever on the moon?
No, definitely not. Definitely. I mean, how could they? There's no.
He's a fucking national hero.
Each way it's often to be
experience from listening to your church. If you were to put a level on your eye, like you go on a circle, you got a circular vision. It's not a curve, it's a circular vision. The curve that you're trying to is like that it is going over like that, which in case it should be going over in every direction. And your ship that you require going over should be leaning back. It cannot go over vertically, because vertical line remains the same. When it's going over the horizon, it is supposed to lean back. And you'll never see a building leaning back like that. You'll get the angle 10 degrees. That's because the intention is to, the ship's intention with the mast is to go like that. You'll never see that above. You'll never see that.
I'm done. I want to add a little bit of something to what you just said, and that is for you to think about it like this. Your vision inscribes a dome around you, actually. The range of where you can see. You can see a road 100 miles long or 10 miles long, and then up there is a dome, and there's only so far that we can see, and that's inside of our scope of right. Now, when you think about a horizon, you look out into the horizon, and you're standing at the sea. You're at the floor of what you're looking at. But 500 meters, maybe 1,000 meters above you, you've got a bank of cloud stretching also in a straight line. You get where I'm saying? But position yourself in that frame now, in that photo. You're at the very bottom of that photo. If you had to point yourself up to the midpoint of that photo, like 500 meters up, the clouds are 1,000, sea level below you, and you look forward at that height, then the clouds and the sea will merge at the same point, and the ship will merge at the same point too. But because you're all the way down here, you see the ship sort of appear to go behind the sea, the body of water. They say absolutely, because you have a perspective and things go off into that perspective, but depends on your height and the weather. If it's a bad weather day, the curve is sooner. If it's a good weather day, the curve is further. So that makes a big difference. But yes, if you're down here,
okay, but you may repeat the output of the nonsense. That's all of the all of the you go into you get scientific you recreate relate to perception, you know.
Yeah.
But there you create the scientific. That's what science is. Because we can choose
visual acuity and the eye of resolution. That's your visual. All you can see with the human eye is like a 1/2 minute. Half of an arc minute, like you got a degree and it's split up into 60. All you can resolve with the human eye is about 1/2. You can't see further than that. So the human eye can see for trillions and trillions of miles. You can't see that.
Even with a telescope.
It's what you call optician, visual acuity and angular resolution. Plus perspective dictates that it's going to disappear from you. I show you, which is a good thing. I show you something. You got 5 minutes. I show you something, my boy. No, I show you something. Your senses. I show you something with your senses. Your body is well designed. All your senses. Okay, if I touch you here, you don't feel it here. So your sense is not all over your body. Okay, it's pinpointed. And so with your hearing, just imagine your smell is limited to your surroundings. Your hearing is limited to your surroundings. Your touch and your feel is limited to. So why should your eyes be forever in the sky? Your eyes is subject to your surroundings. No, just for instance, I'll show you something why it is a good design. Imagine you can sit in this all the way to Nigeria. Look at what's going on. It wouldn't suit your purpose. Your senses is to fight or flight.
But here's the thing, you can stand in Spain and see Morocco.
Yeah, I know, yes.
But you're on a boat. You shouldn't be able to see that.
Yeah, because it's a geometry that is supposed to be falling.
But I want to learn something from this man. He's a very qualified man. Do you know about the pineal gland?
We know.
What can you tell us about the pineal gland? Yeah. Because we understand that the pineal gland is the connection to higher consciousness. And that if you open that pineal gland, you're able to kind of connect with your higher consciousness. And that the reason that this lie exists is partly to hide us, or primarily to hide us from our higher consciousness, which is connected through the pineal.
My higher consciousness is the Holy Spirit of God. And the flat earth, as good as it is, right, at the end of the day, what it's saying within you is the Holy Spirit, and the
creator is in you, my brother. The creator is in you.
Not in everybody.
Well, I think this is one of the other deceptions.
God is a production of your conscience.
When you look in the mirror, God created you in His image, which means you're looking at God, and He created this oil called the Christos. Have you heard of the Christos? But the Greeks before the Romans, who gave us our religion today, they knew about the Christos, the Christ oil. And if you nurture this Christ oil and get it to ascend the 33 vertebrae, Christ lived 33 years, you get it up to your temple, you rise your temple, then you open your consciousness and you open your light to consciousness. Now the religion, my friend, I went back to the religion when I found flat earth. I went back to religion, but they are the ones who lied to us. They are the ones who gave us this Bible and this bald earth. You cannot go back to them and take their word as gospel. The gospel is inside you, my brother. God's spell is inside of you, inside of you, inside of you. The Christ oil from the pineal gland, look into that, look into the DMT, open yourself, go inside. No more fighting between the brothers and the sisters. We go inside, we find out truth, we find the love. Because you know what the system wants to do? It wants to create hate. It wants to create hate. No more hate, find the love. Come together. No more religion either.
For drugs or anything like that where you can sort of hallucinate.
I'm Dave.
And you can mess about it with the reason. But if you want to get in contact with the higher power, you get through the Holy Spirit. Baptize in Jesus' name. And that's
Me personally, I agree with both of you. I think you need the Holy Spirit.
That's what you need. The pioneer, the shackle,
You're moving earth. They're moving earth. That's a moving earth. I'll just Google Maps.
By the media, by our education system, by the television, by everyone, our parents, is don't worry, just look after yourself, work hard, get a nice job, get a big house, get a nice car and a wife, and have a nice time, and that's your life. But that is not reality, because the psalmist tells us we pass our life as a story that is told. It's gone. It's like grass. Look, it's all been cut down. And we will be cut down. This is why I'm here today, to tell you, every one of us will be cut down in time. We don't know when. I had a boy in my class. He was there 3 weeks ago, a month ago. He was sitting in front of me in my class. Now he's gone. He died. Where's he gone? Where is he? It's going to happen to me. It's going to happen to you. And when I die, and when you die, where will we go?
Nowhere.
That's your choice. We have free will. I chose as a youngster on my parents' direction to say, no, we'll go nowhere. There's no heaven. There's no hell. It's all stories. It's all made up by the Catholic Church to try and control people. But the Bible is true. I didn't believe the lies of my parents, the lies of the school, the lies of the government and the media. I wanted to find the truth, and I read the Bible for myself, because I have free will, as you have free will. You can choose.
Ooh, can I have a leaflet?
Spins.
Yeah, just the trick.
Okay. What was I saying? Let's say if you was a globe Earth or whatever, yeah? So I'm going to ask both the same question. I'm saying without all the, let's say about NASA, anything to do with modern day technology and whatever else.
Yeah.
If the only thing we had to work with was nature, how would you prove the flat Earth? And obviously, if there's a globe Earth believer, I would ask them how can they prove.
Right. Well, there you go.
With nature.
So globe people will give you pseudoscience and mathematics. That's what globe. They'll show you pictures from space. Okay, and they'll give you pseudoscience and mathematics. Okay.
Are you saying there was no globe? No belief in a globe.
Well, it comes from mathematics right from the get-go with Aristophanes.
So does physics.
Yes.
And you're not denying that because you're using that device.
Oh well,
so,
there you go.
So mathematics is very.
So what I'm saying is that we're not a complete science disbeliever or anything like that.
No, this is what I'm saying. You're saying it comes from mathematics.
Okay.
I'm saying physics.
Deception of mathematics, yes. Deception.
Even if you say
well, look, this is one of the first things. This is Pythagoras Theorem, right at the back. Okay. And Pythagoras Theorem says that the Earth should, the curvature should be 8 inches per square mile going over the curvature. That's spherical trigonometry, and I haven't got a clue what it is, but everybody seems to think it's okay.
Of the globers.
Right. Okay. But what I'm getting at is that that's Blackpool Promenade that was stood on.
Yep.
And then you can see the Isle of Man. That's 65 miles away.
Right. So
but 2,500 feet should be hidden.
But here's the problem with that.
Okay.
Even if the Earth is a globe, there's going to be parts of the land that are higher than the other.
Okay.
So, for instance, if we're standing here, where you're saying on that beach, right?
Okay, on the beach,
and we're looking at the Isle of, was it Isle of Man?
Yes, it's the Isle of Man.
Right.
But water always stays level and flat. Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying the land mass.
Okay.
Even though the Earth itself is globular, the land mass itself might be, that bit might be higher.
Well, it is.
You know what I'm saying?
It's 2,000 feet is the highest peak from sea level.
In relation to what you just described.
Yes, it's 2,000.
You said what, 85 miles, did you say?
65 miles.
Oh, 65.
And the highest peak is 2,000 feet from the ocean. And we're already on the promenade. The promenade is about that
So you're
high.
saying that particular thing has been measured?
Yeah.
I'm saying, when you're saying water, obviously, water just levels itself out, yeah?
Well, it's the sea. It was the Isle of Man.
No, I'm saying water.
Yeah.
The water in between.
That's okay.
I'm saying we would need to know about the ground level.
Yeah.
For instance, it might look, what's the word, to us, like it's just flat.
Okay.
But because it's global, it might be going that way. But because it's global, it flattens itself out. I'm just throwing the opposite.
You should do. Yeah. That's good. You challenge. The argument is that when you're seeing this, mountains like that, the argument is refraction of the bending of light, okay, and it lifts up like mountains and all that. That's the kind of scientific argument to it, okay. But I'll accept it up to a degree. I'm sure that has to happen. They call it lensing and things. But that there at the bottom, that is the world's longest distance photograph, okay, which is 273 miles. You can see mountains. There should be 3 miles should be hidden. I don't know.
It should be down 3 miles.
Can you imagine how long a mile is, and then put it up in the air, and 3 miles of hidden curvature? We shouldn't be seeing all this land.
This is what does my head in. You see, exactly what you're saying is what I love to hear, but I want to see a proper debate between somebody who's...
We do. That's what all this is.
Go on. I don't want to watch a YouTube video. This
is
the best place.
Yeah.
I want to see someone who's got the knowledge. I think, is that brother from YouTube, right?
Well, yes, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's Dave.
I think I've seen him.
Yeah. Everybody see Dave.
Okay. No, he's a bit grey now, isn't he?
he did the Freeman stuff and all that.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm saying I want to see both points tackled. Like, anyone can make a video and say all of this, but when the opposition is there,
yeah.
But every time I've seen it,
there shouldn't be a debate. I mean, it should be a done deal. 2018. I mean, we live on the globe, and no person here should be able to challenge the globe.
No, because what I'm saying
is,
it's easy. If it's mathematics of a complicated nature, for instance, a lot of people don't understand.
And I don't. So I can only go. I can do the arguments what I know.
For instance, if you start saying to somebody that the further you go into this solid matter, it's actually just particles whizzing around.
Okay.
Who's going to believe that? Unless you get the science behind it.
And then all they can do is give you theories.
No, but hear what I'm saying. They've explained it, right?
and then they've produced technology based upon that science.
Possibly, but a lot of it
Possibly,
hasn't.
you're using a device.
Yeah, okay, that's that. But what I'm saying is, let's say, I'll throw in gravity, for instance. Okay, 2018, and we're still not proved gravity exists. 2018.
What is gravity?
Exactly. I mean, like,
gravity is supposed to be an attracting force, yes?
Okay, it's meant to be two masses like pulling together.
It's supposed to be a force that attracts them.
That's right. But it's still not been proved.
Listen, I'm saying that's theories. These are explanations.
Well, no, almost theory. I'm sorry, but almost theory. They did Cavendish did an experiment. It's called the Cavendish experiment. It's actually peer reviewed and it's marked down as a success.
Why
but
couldn't
it's not.
You're talking about gravity, which is a very mysterious force.
We don't exist. That's what we're saying.
What they say about it is something. What is it to you? What tell us what gravity is? You tell us what gravity is. But I didn't say I believe. Listen.
Okay, that's all right.
I put on the table, yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
That this ground feels solid.
Yes.
Matter feels solid to us.
Yes.
When you go into physics, you get down to molecules, atoms, subatomic particles. Yes or do you agree that they exist? Molecules?
Molecules. I think so. I mean, I don't. Can you see molecules?
I've never seen a molecule. No.
I know that they theorise on it and stuff. I don't know. I need to do a bit more research on it because
have you seen a molecule? Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying to you that all of what they explain, yes, the layman can't prove, except with the devices.
Okay.
But because their explanations are consistent, then we may be able to trust what they say.
Well, that's what we want. We want people to actually challenge the scientists because we think that they're lying to us. They're misleading us.
I don't know what you're listening. Listen to what I'm saying. If you get, for instance, vinegar and bicarbonated soda, you're going to get a chemical reaction.
Okay.
The explanations fit, and it happens all the time. Do you understand?
Okay.
So it's molecules that are interacting. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying in regards to physics, they have been very accurate, and you're using a device based upon their theories and their proof.
So are you saying that we should believe everything else?
No. Listen to what I said again at the beginning.
Okay.
Please pay attention to this.
I'm trying.
I'm saying that the same way how they would explain physics. It gets more complicated as you go deeper into matter.
Right.
But with our devices, they've proven it.
Okay.
In other words, the mathematics, let's say that they talk about the globular Earth.
Okay.
There isn't much you can prove with it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, for instance, if they talk about molecules and atoms, they produce devices.
Right, that's
fine. We can say, right, it makes sense.
We are talking about flat Earth.
And you said that the globular Earth, you said, was based upon their mathematics. That's what you said, is it not correct?
Well, Aristophanes, he started off with the circumference of the Earth.
Is that what you said?
Okay.
Did you not say that or not?
Yeah, but that's generalising the entirety of everything, and I wouldn't have said.
I'm asking if you said, look, it's either you said it or you didn't. What's going on here?
Okay, I did say that,
right?
But then you're trying to make it as a generalisation of everything.
No, I'm not. Please stop telling me
what are you trying to say?
Okay. We're talking about molecules, I think.
What I was saying, I said I approached the subject as if we forgot NASA existed. In other words, we all lived in nature.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm up for that.
So we have. Some people, we've got no technology, whatever. We've got wood, we've got fire, etc.
Yeah.
So some people are saying it's globular.
Right.
Some people are saying it's flat. Right. I want a natural explanation from those people why it's flat, and a natural explanation why you say it's globular. You see what I'm saying?
Right. So, well, that I get what you're saying. I'll try and answer you. That is not what we live in. So obviously this is just me theorising now, because we don't live in that system that we're all in nature and that we haven't got mathematics. No one about me personally, I don't. So I can only go from my guess. Okay, this is my guess now.
Right.
So how can I prove that it's flat here, and how can I prove it's a global? I'm not a globe Earth believer anymore. So
no. I was saying that's why I was going with him. I would like to talk to both.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to do as much as possible to get your head around whatever, and then you make your own opinions of. That's what I think.
The reason why, let me explain where we're going. If it's mathematics, somebody even 500 years ago could have explained something mathematically.
Yeah. Maths doesn't prove anything. Right? It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove anything.
I agree with you, but the thing that it is, I'm saying when you've got technology that is based upon mathematics,
right?
Okay.
What technology are we on about?
device is holding in his hand.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So the mobile
So
phone,
that's something what we can evidence
that's based
ourselves.
upon physics,
Okay.
yes, which is full of mathematics.
Yeah,
Yes?
okay. Yeah.
Right, so I'm saying to you that the same people that are saying it's globular, mathematics, I'm sticking to the point of mathematics, right?
Yeah,
When I see flat earthers talk, they're always talking about what NASA says and everything else that's modern day, but I can go back in history and still use mathematics before NASA existed. So I'm saying, could they convince me 1,000 years ago using mathematics that it's globular, which would be consistent with molecules and so on, because they still had alchemists 1,000 years ago, right? So what my point is, when it comes to this issue of flat Earth, what would they use back then to refute? Do you see what I'm saying?
Sticks and shadows.
Huh?
Sticks and shadows.
Yeah,
Aristophanes. Sticks and shadows.
Did the sticks in
That's why we believe today.
Sticks in the shadows.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
He did this experiment where he put one stick in one position, one stick in another, and when the sun was moving about,
Measured the angle.
It was measuring the angle of the shadow, and that's how we come up with
The circumference of the Earth, 24,000 miles.
Earth, right? But it actually works on a flat model and a globe model, but they don't teach that in schools. But when you look into
it works on both. It works on both.
Yeah, so that's it's just still then a hypothesis.
If the sun's closer.
Yeah, the sun is not what they've told us.
Because we don't believe the sun is 93 million miles away.
The sun, right, we've got a completely different thought for everything now, because you can't just go off one
Well done.
You have to work out.
Yeah, he's kind of, he's pulling it away from what we're actually trying to, because we're trying to show people why it is that we believe in flat Earth.
Flat doesn't have to mean literally flat. As in, there might be a body
A plane.
underneath.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
So you believe in the firmament over it, the solid firmament?
I can't prove that, so that has to be a theory for you. You know, like that's kind of like it comes like a belief inside. That's something for you to think. But do we have any proof of that? No, we haven't. We've got clues. There is clues, and I'd like to hope that maybe that'll be proven one day. Again, we know that there's an Antarctica. Okay, I believe there's an Antarctica. I've not been there, so it will be my personal belief.
That's a ring around the world.
That's a ring around the world.
The continents aren't exactly where it says on the global Earth.
Well, that's right. I believe that the continents aren't quite in the same place as we think. You know, like I think GPS has been there. Is kind of it's lying the situation of like how far apart these continents are and tricking us a little bit. Because sailors always seem to have a problem with like with distances. You know, like when using GPS and that.
One day I was at the seaside.
Yeah.
I was in which pier is it? I can't remember which pier is it. It's the longest pier in England. I was going to near the end of it, and the sun was over the water, and I could see the shadow of the sun on the water.
Okay, is that the solstice? Is it? Is that solstice? You got the equinox on the equator. You got the equinox on the equator, haven't you? And then is it summer solstice that we have? Or, I'm not sure. I'll check it out.
But literally, the shadow that it was casting on the water could never have been 93 million miles away. It could only be a few thousand miles away.
That's right.
And it was almost like the light that was coming down from the sun. You could see that it was coming down.
Then
I would say it was coming down. It's almost
Crispial rays.
like a spotlight.
Yeah, it's the Crispial rays, and that's kind of a big clue, isn't it?
And then I was watching these videos, and they weren't tampered videos.
Yeah.
Where the sun was going through the clouds.
Right.
And then on one end, you saw a guy was in a plane. He had the sun over here. He had the moon over there.
That's right. And he pans over. Yeah. I've seen that. Yes. So we've got lots of clues and all that, and they say that like YouTube is you can't be a scientist learning things from YouTube. Yeah, we can do natural science looking at YouTube.
The moment I started like watching these videos, it just clicked to me. It was just obvious.
That's right.
It was observational.
Yes.
So it's observation.
Yes. Well, the other thing with me is that people like Phuket words, and he's done like the sun. You can see it shrinking in the distance. I mean, if the sun's 93 million miles away, why is it shrinking? We wouldn't be able to see that.
If something's 93 million miles away, why am I feeling it's off with the way that
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if radiative heat and all that travels through 93 miles of space, why at night are we not getting radiative heat from all the other stars? You know, like from.
What about the moon, though? Do you believe it to be a sphere or something
Well,
else?
I look at the moon, and for me, it feels, it looks like a sphere. I look through a telescope or something, I see 2D. You know, like I feel as though it looks solid. I mean, I've seen pictures of maybe a star poking through it. You know, like, but I don't know. My gut feeling, we're talking theories and beliefs. My gut feeling is it may be sphere, it might be solid. You know, I don't see what, but that's not the point on, and it has no bearing on. Are we on a flat plane?
People believed in the beginning that it was a flat Earth, that it was geocentric.
Yeah.
So what turned people from a geocentric universe to a heliocentric? Is it is it egotism? Well, we're the centre of everything.
Well, no, because I don't think that way. But like, I kind of think. I know that we're not spinning through space. I know this. This has to be right because it doesn't make sense.
How does water stay still while the Earth is spinning around?
Well, because they say gravity, don't they?
But you can't prove gravity.
But then gravity is so strong holding the moon in place.
Because an apple fell from the tree.
Yeah. Again, I was saying to matey, it's 2018. Should that be a done deal? You shouldn't be arguing about gravity. You know, like they should just show you this scientific experiment, show you this device, and say, oh, look, there's gravity. But where is that device? Where is that experiment?
Is there a need for gravity?
Which?
Is there a need for gravity?
Well, no. Well, there isn't. There wasn't. We know its density and buoyancy. We know that the behaviour of thicker liquids, and like the air around us is like a liquid basically. You know, like it's just a thinner liquid.
So it's about different gases, solids.
Yeah.
Material, different weights.
That's right. We know that density and buoyancy. If I drop that, we know that the molecules inside that are heavier than the air around it. We know and because that's going through that, the air below it with buoyancy wants to go above it. You know, like, so we know this. You know, there is another argument to it. You know, like people say that why doesn't it go left or right? You know, like, and people have been talking about magnetism or what's the other one? Magnetism or maybe static in the air or something. We know there's a charge in the air. We know that there's a positive atmosphere, above, and we have a negative Earth.
That's what makes the sun and the moon rotate.
Sounds plausible that
Something to do with that. What's those lights up in the north?
Aurora borealis or something. Aurora borealis.
Charges causing the rotation.
That's right. So we know there's a charge up there, don't we? You know, and we know that. Have you watched the Tesla experiments? And so they build these towers, and he sends away wireless electricity. You know, and you can stick bulbs in the ground. You know, like I don't know. I think the ones that the experiment they were doing about 50 yards, 100 yards away, just sticking bulbs in the ground, and they're going off, and they're just getting a charge from wireless electricity from the Tesla coils. So we know that all that's true. You know, and I believe that the higher you go, the more charge.
But that's about helping someone. In fact, the moon landing was a hoax.
Yes. Yeah.
Bro, are you running this?
I'm one of the guys. Yes.
You're doing a good job.
All right. Cheers, buddy. Are you a flat earther as well?
Yes.
Yeah. He's on the fence. Yeah. It's, you know what? It's good to meet you guys, new people, and that.
Start going straight up.
That's right. They go off into a trajectory and go off into your perspective.
They must know there's something stopping them from. And they say that man can't.
travel outside of the atmosphere because of the charge around the Earth?
It's meant to be the Van Allen belt to go around and all that, and because of the Van Allen belt, photograph material and negatives, they couldn't pass through the Van Allen belts. Just like in them days, you couldn't put a negative through a airport detector. You couldn't do that. You know, like
so it's like having a barbed wire fence around the
That's right. So they're tricking themselves with their own. They're tripping themselves up with their own science.
Because they're deceiving people, and they're deceiving people.
And it's hard to do. They've got to keep coming up with another lie to protect the old lie, and another lie, and you know. But yeah, they're saying.
How did you get to learn about it?
Probably that Dave Murphy over there.
Okay. I saw a video with him as well. Yeah.
Well, because I was watching Free Men of the UK and stuff, you know, like, and I was interested in that side, the fact that I'm not a Mister, I'm not part of the Admiralty, I'm Jason of the Disbury family, so I was studying all that, and then I seen a little bit of him in that Macedonia interview. You know, like, so I've seen a bit of that.
I think he was the first video.
Yeah, he was mine. Yeah, he's the bastard. But yeah, no. So I watched a bit of that, and I was inspired a bit, but I wouldn't believe much of it. I couldn't take it all in, so I turned it off. I went straight on to 200 proofs, and then I did the first 10 minutes of that, and said, "No, it's nonsense. This is ridiculous. Why do I keep doing this?" I went to bed. I looked at the ceiling all night, and I couldn't go to sleep. I was constantly thinking about what Eric DeBay was saying. In the morning, I finished the rest of the film. I went, bloody hell, you know, what the hell? And I had to know more then. And then my mission was 4 months of studying, 18-hour days, sometimes 36-hour days, you know, like a couple of days and that. And my mission was to debunk all this rubbish. You know, because it had to be rubbish. We live on a globe, for God's sake. You know, like, I didn't want to feel crazy and sound crazy, but I had these niggles and I had to debunk it. Failed miserably. You know, that was my.
So what do you think of the universe? Is it a literal universe, or is it something on the firmament that's shining down?
Yeah, haven't a clue.
All the stars are within the atmosphere.
You know what? Yeah, that's right. You know, like we kind of.
I know a lot about that.
Yeah. You have to have an opinion on something like this. You have to do some research, and then you have to put a lot of faith and beliefs and form a few theories on it. I've kind of shied away from anything that I can't prove for fact, and I've shied away from it because, you know, like someone was asking me about like solar eclipses aren't fully understood or explained and things. You know, like, so I shied away from that until we've got further knowledge, because I hate talking to the public on facts I can't support. You know, like, and I know some people do go on. They talk like about religion within flat Earth. They'll talk about, as you say, the dome and things like that. I struggle with it myself. That's just a personal thing for me. Until I can show you facts and show you a bit of paper and go, no, it's this. You've got to see this. You know, like. But yeah, we see light. We could be
like water. A glassy ceiling.
Yeah, you know what, and that makes sense to me, that there could be water, there could be a dome, because with these luminaries that we see, when we zoom in and we can focus in on these stars that are meant to be trillions of miles away, we see, like, they look like water speckles, and like they're controlled with frequencies and things. It looks like that. I mean, they're my observations. What that is, I'm the bloody foggiest, but they're my observations. That's what we see.
For how many thousands of years, and we still don't understand the world that we live in.
Yeah, because we're told how many lies in the world that we live in, and they are lies, you know, like, and that's what I 100% believe. That's what NASA's whole creation's for. It's just a mass deception to kid us all into believing we're on this magical spinning ball.
My daughter realised the Earth is curved in pictures because of the lens they use.
So she gets up.
She understands that, and she's 11 years old.
Yeah. No, my family a little bit more in denial, you know, like.
No, I told you about flat Earth like ages ago.
Yeah.
It's obvious.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, because of my religious views, she understands Darwinism.
Yes.
It's just a theory.
Yes.
A story.
Oh, I know, and the very thought that, you know, like the Big Bang, that there is nothing, so there's nothing. And then there's something, and then you know, like how amazing your brain is, you know, like, and the intricacies of their brain, and we don't even understand just pure odd chance. You know, like, no. And that we eventually came from, like, monkeys and apes and things. And the thing is, there's still monkeys and apes. What are you talking about?
And then there's nothing in between.
No.
There's nothing cut from something.
Yeah. I mean, if I could see, well, if there must be monkeys and apes, I want to see what were the Homo sapiens and that. I want to see them. I want to see cavemen and that.
Science is observation.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I believe in observation more than theory.
Yeah.
But I suppose there's some theories, like you say, it's faith, but faith isn't blind at the same time.
Yeah,
it does hold to solid truths, but you can't clearly. There's some mystery to it.
Yes.
And you have to hold that balance. That there is a mystery to all of this.
When did you yourself become awake?
About 2 years ago.
All right, okay. So you're a year more than me. Yeah, no, mine was last year. Yeah, I was so enraged by it and so annoyed because I've been a space fanatic. I've been a Star Trek fan, and you know, I'm so downright pissed off. So I needed to be out here. I got to do something. You know, like You live in London, do you?
I live in North Wembley.
North Wembley. All right.
Just round the corner from the stadium.
And how did you hear that we were all here? Was it you on the feast?
No, I just came here today.
No way! I thought you might have seen it because we did advertise it on like Facebook and that. You know.
I was like,
what are they doing?
This is flat Earth.
And have you seen flat Earth things before down here? No. All right. Because I've seen one or two people on YouTube. I've been here. They've talked about flat Earth, but
that's mostly the States.
You've got to have banners and information. You've got to talk. You know, you've got to show points to things and talk about things and that. You know. Yeah.
Reasoning and people coming to their own. To their own conclusion.
Well, I need to put you in touch. You've got Roxanne here. Roxanne lives in London, and you've got Ruben here. He's in London as well. He's somewhere over there.
Do you have like seminars and stuff like that?
Do I have?
Do you have seminars, conferences?
No, I mean they did have the Flat Earth conference. That was in Birmingham, wasn't it? Okay. Yeah, they recently had that one. I didn't go on that one. I was too busy sailing around the UK. I was going to, and then things changed, so I didn't carry on with the sailing. You know, all right, buddy. I've got a lot of respect for him. You know, and annoyed as well at the same time. Very conflicted. It's really nice speaking to you. Look, there's a website on there, and you'll see a few contacts. You've got John Smith Globe Live, and then you've got Jason of the his website address at the top there inside. That one there, FE Start.
All right, brilliant.
Yeah, so you'll see a few contacts there. Okay. I'm going to put like a Facebook link and all that. Keep in touch, and we'll let you know next things that happen in London and that, and you can pop round and see us and that. But yeah, you got Roxanne and you got they're all Londoners. Ruben's here as well. Oh, I think he's over here somewhere with his family. But it's really nice speaking to you. Cheers, buddy. All right.
I said it's not close.
Come Birmingham. Yeah, buddy. Have you got anything? No. There you go. Have you heard of all this before? Oh, that's right. I mean, I know that at 5 years old, when I was presented the globe. Sorry, are you okay with? I like to ask first. You know, if you don't want to, I'll take it away. At 5 years old, I was presented that at school, and I didn't have the ability to critically think, so I never challenged it. You know, like, so I'm 47 years old and still haven't challenged the globe. You know, like, and most people don't. We just accept it. And then later on, with media and science textbooks, you see pictures of Earth, and you just think, well, of course it's a globe. They said so, because and I've seen globes in classrooms, so it's obvious. But then, if you do challenge it, it will start falling apart. You know, like if you go to NASA's website, and then if you break up the first bit of evidence, which is what does the globe look like? Well, that is NASA's images 2012 and 2013. And I don't want you to believe anything that you read in that. I want you to go onto NASA's website and check it out for yourself. And you see, I mean, that's the same circle there, same size circle, and yet you can see there's an obvious difference with the continent of America. There's a size difference. It's huge.
Okay, we go.
But that's not, sorry, on there.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
And look at the size difference. You know, like from that to that.
Okay, yeah.
That's America.
Okay. Okay.
You know, and
so this is obviously bigger.
Well, I mean, the thing is, that's right. Well, it's obvious it's bigger, but that's NASA's original photographs. And then, if you read more into the images, if you read what they say about it, they say, "Oh, oops, they're not photographs; they are composite images." And that's a picture, and then we'll stitch them all together. We'll get a program like Photoshop or something, and we'll put a 3D ball, a blank 3D ball, and we'll wrap all them images over the top. And there's a chap there who's over there called, come with me. So the chap here, Robert Sims, okay, and he actually, I want to do that, and he actually makes the globe picture. He works for NASA. He puts all the layering on. He gets all the data that high altitude balloons and planes have all taken, and he stitches all that together. And he's in an interview, and you can hear him, and he tells you exactly how he puts it all together. All these images of space. So if our beliefs in the globe, like comes from the fact that we've seen it photographs that we thought, if our beliefs come from that, then what is our other proof? Because if I turn around and say, well, he makes that.
He makes that. So basically, it's a fiction, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. And so all the pictures that you see of space, they're cartoons. They're CGI images. And before Photoshop come along, they would have painted made big models, and then photographed them models. They would have made paintings and then photographed them paintings. And you've seen how good artists do. They can paint you a can of Coke, take a photograph, and then you decide is that real or not.
No.
So that's as good.
Could draw this real, that makes it real.
Yeah. Well, on the back of that, you've got land. You've got land that you can see that you shouldn't be able to see. I got some of this, sorry.
Okay.
But you've got land. So here, if you're on, do you know where Blackpool is?
Blackpool, yeah. I've heard of Blackpool.
Up northwest, northwest somewhere, isn't it? Anyway, so you go up to Blackpool, and right there on the promenade, if you stand on the promenade, on a good clear day, you can see the Isle of Man.
Right.
That's 65 miles away.
Right.
Okay, it's got to be a really good clear day in that, okay? Because of atmospheric conditions change, and sometimes you can only see 10 miles. Okay, sometimes you can see 20 miles. But anyway, the highest peak is 2,000 feet. But have you heard of Pythagoras Theorem? That's kind of what we're taught in school.
I do.
Okay, they do spherical trigonometry, can't get the word out. And it's meant to, the Earth's curvature is meant to be 8 inches per squared mile. It's meant to go over like that, 8 inches. Okay, so all of this, if the highest peak is 2,000 feet, and Pythagoras Theorem says, based on 65 miles, 2,584 feet should be hidden, why can we see land? So either something's wrong there, or they're lying. Okay, so either this is flat or that's lying. But this is Dover. When you're in Calais, and you can see the White Cliffs of Dover on a good clear day. Okay, and then zoomed in again, and then zoomed in again. Okay, well, based on this spherical trigonometry, 300 feet should be hidden. Now, the highest peak on the White Cliffs of Dover is 350 feet, so you should see 50 foot of the tips of it. But you can see it all. You can see the whole White Cliffs of Dover. Why? And that's on the beach.
Right.
Okay. Some people say something to do with might be to do with refraction and light, the bending of light and that. And okay, I can't really argue with that. Okay. I think bullshit, but I can't really argue with it. Okay. But this is long distance photograph, 273 miles. It's the world's longest distance photograph, and 3 miles should be hidden, and yet we can still see land and mountains and things. 3 miles should be hidden. So I would.
That's the longest.
Yeah, longest distance. Yeah.
That must have been a good lens.
It must have been a cracking good lens. And you can go online, you can check all that out. It's from a place called Beyond Horizons.
What's your...
No, I'll give you my knowings.
Yeah, okay,
so as I say,
okay,
when
yeah,
you're a glow believer, you believe in something without proof. You just believe it.
Yeah,
okay. So I can give you my
what you know.
Yeah, what I know.
Yeah.
Lands that you should be able to see, that's what I know. I mean, even lighthouses give off light over like 50 miles and all that. How are these ships who are actually on the sea, how are they actually seeing these lighthouses? They're 50 miles away, they should be beyond the curvature. What are they talking about? They shouldn't be seeing any lighthouses. So that's the other part of it. I don't actually believe that. Sorry, I should talk about when you go up. I mean, you don't see any curvature, okay? And you go up higher, and you still don't see any curvature. And you go higher again, and you don't see any curvature. Now, what should happen is, if you're on a ball, as you start ascending, that curvature should start falling away. The higher you get, but it doesn't. How high you go, our horizon goes up to our eye level. It rises up with us, with our eye level. It's not meant to do that on a ball. It's not meant to. It's meant to fall away as you get higher. That's right. But, so there's little things like that. Now, all we're doing is just trying. You can't change anyone's opinion in 5 minutes being here. What we're hoping is that we'll plant one seed enough for you to check it out for yourself. And yeah, there's a website there and there's some videos to go to. 200 proofs Earth's not a spinning ball. Need to watch that. It's on that website. Yeah. Yeah, it's good speaking to you. Jason. All right, then, buddy. All right. Excellent. Cheers, buddy. Yeah, I mean, stick around if you've got more questions and that. Have a little read of it all.
I'll take some pictures as well.
Oh yeah, go do that. Yeah, please do. Yeah, lots of pictures.
It's forbidden to do theory. It's the most
I'd like to debate that situation as well, because I think it's an interesting one to debate.
Yeah.
But I still do, I have enough faith in this world of scientists and that they are doing the right thing and that they aren't lying to you that flat. I just don't see the point in lying in this depth.
They have something to gain from that point.
Yeah.
I don't understand what they have to gain
from the Earth.
But does that mean that because you don't understand it, because let's face it, no disrespect, you probably haven't done that much research, have you?
No, but I'm saying, what money can they make out of telling us that the Earth
53 million a day.
No, that's not directly
well,
from this point.
That's what they get.
No, but
that's NASA.
But that's NASA.
But NASA's role is not singly to discover whether the Earth is flat or round.
Okay,
that is
let me answer it in a slightly different way. If everyone thought that this is the Earth end, and you couldn't see anything else, but this is as far as where you can get to because Antarctica, you're never going to go any further because one, it's very hard to travel, and secondly, you don't think there's anything over the other side. Whereas we said to you, you're not allowed to go anywhere past that fence. You said, I can see people. I'll be shocked. I want to go there.
Limit people.
Yeah, it's
limit
actually
people
to restrict.
to where?
It's to restrict. It's actually to keep you. The thing is, this is the point. If you're in prison, and you know you're a prisoner, you know you're a prisoner, your life is ruined potentially.
So wait,
can I make my point? But you imagine being in prison, but not knowing you're in prison. That's basically what we are. Yeah. So we're actually trapped in closure, but we're not told.
So you're saying that
trapped.
our lives are the Truman Show,
and more or less.
And so. What, on a personal level, is restricted? Exactly, you just keep on taking it off onto different,
No, you ask your question, I'll answer it for a second.
But why does that hurt you? What is wrong with this world? What's wrong with your life in the Truman Show situation that makes it so important that you need to debate these things? What's going on that NASA hurting you?
Really? All the wars and all the starving children of the world. You think our system is correct? It's working?
If we were actually in a Truman Show, that would totally change our whole perspective of atheistic science. We say we're in a Truman Show. Oh God!
Yes, obviously that's what the debate is about. But I'm saying, are your lives that miserable in this Truman Show that you think there's a higher heavenly situation out there? So you believe you're being lied to and your lives suck, and so you want to get out of this world.
I've got an amazing life. Yeah.
Well then, why are you debating?
Because I still don't want my kids to be lied to. I want my kids to grow up and know the truth.
Know the truth.
Yes. I just told you about the thermosphere and all that. That's your science. You know, that's not my science. You know, like sorry, that's all of our science. That's what we're told and educated to. I know, like, so how can all these satellites and all that exist in space? I know the difference between radiative heat and direct heat. I know how all that works. I've done my education on that.
It's just simple as like.
Well, you check it out for yourself, dude.
No,
and all I say
have,
is,
like, a PhD in this stuff. I'm not saying that I know the science to back it up, but
well, you could do a little bit of research. That's critical thinking.
3 PhD scientists about this.
Yes.
I was the host. I was the moderator for it.
Yeah.
And we were there for an hour and a half, and at the end of it, the PhD guys were scratching their heads because they couldn't answer our questions. Why? Because science can't back up.
Such hypothetical and like.
No, because what we
No,
did,
it was a fair debate. It was.
I gave them questions, and we said, right, we want to give you these questions. Are you happy with questions? They said yes. We chose the ones that they would be happy with. They came back and said yes. We then went to our guys on the debate side and said, are you happy? They said yes. So we debated known questions. It wasn't a let's trip them up, because that was pointless. That was pointless. So the thing is, let's say, for instance, using cancer as an example, if it works out that we're told that you're not allowed to have salt, as an example, because it's bad for you, but in reality, let's say it's good. I'm not saying it is, I'm just using a hypothetical. Let's say it's good for you, but they're trying to browbeat you it's bad for you. All the elite are taking the salt because it's good for them, but making sure that everyone else is always ill. Pharmaceutical companies do not gain anything from you taking a tablet, becoming well, and staying on maintaining being well. Whereas if you take it and it means that if they give you vaccination as a child, that means that they basically kind of poison you as a child, which means you always need their drugs in the future. They've got a captive audience, they've got a market. Can you imagine having ice cream now and tomorrow you must have an ice cream? Why? Because they put something in that ice cream. That is basically what's happening. So when you think, no disrespect, naively, but this isn't important, you must have sad lives. It's because what's happened is we have been controlled by the elite. That money, it's all to do with control and slavery, that we go out and work for them. So they have a lovely lifestyle, and what they do, they try everything from us, of which Flat Earth is one example. It's one spoke in a will about the whole will.
I agree with you on some level, okay? I agree that a lot is like, there's a lot of asymmetric information between us and the government and the people controlling these TNCs. Totally agree with that. And like, we are stuck in a bunch of situations where we could be conned. And maybe some drugs are leaving us in like a worse situation. Maybe some governments are leaving countries in a more poor situation than they genuinely would be if we had made the effort to like bring them out of poverty, and we're not doing that because we gain some sort of advantage over that. But like, to push it so far, to think that like a whole world is a Truman Show, like we've been lied to about the end of the world.
We're not saying it's a Truman Show.
No, but I'm saying pushing it that far is like, it just stresses people out, and I don't see the gain from that.
No, I understand you don't understand. But can I just ask, what research have you done? Now, this isn't a disrespectful question, but what research have you actually done yourself?
On what?
On anything. On anything to do with
even on the globe,
where
you
live.
Told is fact, and you know indoctrinated.
If I said to you that 666 is 37 and everyone agrees 37 and everyone believes it, then after a while it becomes part of the norm. But everyone knows that, like, for instance, have you ever seen the experiment where what they do, they have a room full of people and they have one space. The person comes in and everyone stands up on a bell and they sit back down again. This person thinks, well, I better stand up as well. So eventually they become, can I just, sorry, if you don't mind. So they stand up. Eventually, all these people then go into their appointment, and eventually new people come along. But because this guy learned from the others, he then stands up, they all stand up, and eventually it gets to the point that a whole new wave of people come in, which is like an equivalent of a generation, have come in, and they stand up because we always do it that way. Does that make it right?
Yeah, but how is that relevant to like the real world situation?
Because what it is, we're just being controlled about everything.
But for you, like, how is it getting to a point where it's like...
Okay, let me put it this way. I come from Portsmouth to come up here today. I spent my own time and money to come up here. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to talk to you if you want to talk to us. You'll go home in a minute and you'll go off to your own lives. I will still carry on doing this tomorrow. I don't mind if you're involved or not. I don't mind.
So what are you guys trying to get out of the situation?
What we're trying to do, we're trying to wake people up.
From there?
I went on to Holly Willoughby and Philip Schofield. I went on to an interview with him 2 months ago on ITV. 2.6 million people have watched it since online, and 2 million people watched it at the time. Why? Because it's got an interest that's actually making people think, do you know what, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to have a look at what's going on.
So from that interest, what do you want us to do? What do you want? Do you want us to all stand up, rise up against the government?
Okay, let me ask you a question. It's go off and do your own research.
Don't
take our word for it.
That's all we're saying to people.
But I must say, that is one thing that actually, because you have people on the internet and they say, flat earth is really dumb. And it's like, disprove it. And people are seeing how dumb they are because they can't even disprove what they're saying is wrong. So
we want you to just start asking questions.
I mean, clearly the people who are saying that are dumb themselves.
Sorry to hijack.
No, you did well.
But at the end of the day, I do agree with this gentleman.
I flew from New Zealand when you're up.
That's excellent. Can I have a photograph of that?
Yeah, but you've got to, if you're dumb,
really? What's the curve? That'd be a special moment.
You're dumb when you're dumb yourself.
That'd be amazing. I'd love to see the curve and take a picture.
Just
that no one else, no one's done. No one's done that unless they've got a fisheye lens on the camera. That's the problem. No one takes any pictures. They always say, "Oh, I've seen it." They didn't even know how their eyes work. They didn't even know what the shape of their eyes. They didn't even know that they got peripheral vision. They haven't got a clue about all these things. You know, like, and yet they see the curve. They don't. And even when they're on their airplanes, they didn't even know that window is shaped to the fuselage of their airplane. They didn't even know that it's separated by 4 panes of glass with a little hole there with pressure. You know, it goes in and out. They don't know all of these things, and yet they think, "I see the curve." And yet, what you should be seeing is when you see a horizon rise up with you to eye level, even when you're in a plane and it's still up to a high level and keeps rising up, it should fall away on you. You're on a ball. Actually, if you just imagine yourself on a ball and start getting higher and higher, you'll see that ball going away from you. That's the way your vision works. But you think that you've seen the curve. All I say is, evident it. Show the world.
I flew over via Dubai and going back via Singapore, and it's a whole lot around. I'm going around.
The world. So your circumference in the world, you're going around the continents, but yet no expedition has ever been recorded of anyone going north to south ever. It's not been recorded. We've got solar power planes now that can do 3 months, stay up there for like 3 months or so, and yet there's still no expedition going north to south. What's going on? Why can't we have this proof? We even landed on the moon, didn't we? Yeah. Why can't we have a camera facing Earth so that we can see that? You know, like we're on this globe Earth. Why can't we see that? Why can't we see the Earth spinning? That'd be what footage that you could do that. You could add advertising there. You know, like on that screen, we'd all be watching it. All the money they can make with that. If we could just see footage of the Earth spinning, 24-hour spin, it'd be amazing. What about when they went on the moon? I would have loved to have seen that. Why is that 360-degree video never been taken? I'll tell you why. Just like when you're doing Coronation Street, you don't want to see all the sound men and all the directors and all that. That's why you're not seeing it. I mean, we had all these landers on the moon, all the Apollo landers, and not one did a 360. These guys were trained astronauts for years. It was a lifelong ambition to go up there. I'm sorry, if I went up on a mountain, I want to do that. I want to do that. I think any normal person would want to do that, and not one bit of footage of a 360 on the moon.
Old Ed Hillary, the New Zealander, he went to the South Pole. I believe him. He's an honest guy.
Oh yeah, no, I believe that people do go to the South Pole. But when he goes to the beach, he only goes to the coastline. He doesn't go in. That's it.
South Pole is in the middle of the ice.
Yeah, not what you get. You get a ceremonial thing. They don't go to the South Pole. Not a chance.
Ed Hillary, mate, he went to the South Pole. He's a New Zealander.
He's
an honest guy. Spent his life.
Oh no, I believe him. I believe him. I believe he's honest. I believe that the fact that he's been hoodwinked. Totally hoodwinked. But I'm telling you, he didn't. Go and watch a video called Admiral E. Byrd. Okay? Admiral E. Byrd took 3,500 troops down to Antarctica. Watch that video. It's on YouTube. It was done in the 1950s, on a TV interview in America and that. Watch that video. Admiral E. Byrd. You know, he's an admiral. We're not talking about some schmuck in a boat. You know, like, it was an admiral, took 3,500. He says he went beyond the South Pole, went further, and came across more land, bigger than America. That's what he says. Now he's either gone cuckoo, he's an idiot or whatever. But I'm still telling you, he's an admiral and he's on YouTube and you can watch him right now if you've got an internet connection. Admiral E. Byrd. We're not going to be able to persuade anyone's minds, you know, in 5 minutes. You know, you've got an education. You know, you know how to parrot. You probably got some exams out of it. You know how to parrot for an exam and pass things. You know, like. But did you do any? I mean, like, you live on this ball. Okay, you were given a globe at, you know, at the age of 5 and all that. Did you ever critically examine it? Do you know where you live? Have you ever critically thought about it? Okay, so where's your proof? Let's say I'm a child. Please explain to me where I live.
where I live. I live in bloody New Zealand or Africa.
Well, I do believe that, but yeah, okay, let's go further. Am I on a blue?
To the beach and I've driven.
But am I on a ball with water around it, spinning around at 1,000 miles an hour with all them forces, you know, like that 1,000 miles an hour? You know, it could be pretty. What's it?
You see it current away in the plane, and you see the water dropping off the edge when you're standing on the beach. You can't see mountains on the other side.
Okay.
When I bloody flew into Malaga in Spain, yeah, you could see the mountains of Morocco or whatever, you know, top of Africa. And then I landed on the ground and I looked out at the beach. I couldn't see the mountains anymore.
Okay.
So if I saw the mountain, they were there, right? I saw it.
Because you're above the atmospheric conditions.
I was in a plane.
Yeah, so you're above all them atmospheric conditions.
Africa,
you know, like all the dense.
Stand on the beach in Spain, I can't see them anymore. If
yeah.
it's dead flat, why can't I see the mountains?
Okay.
Because it drops off.
Look at that. That is
drops off, mate.
273 miles, okay, of longest distance photograph. You can go online, check it out yourself. It's a website's called beyondhorizons.eu. Check his photographs out. 273 miles. 3 miles should be hidden. 3 miles of height should be hidden. Well, I believe you, but I understand what angular resolution is. I understand, you know, like what lensing is. I understand that the higher you go, you've got less air density to look through, so you get to see further. So I understand that the lower down that we go, we've got more air density. Just like, you know, days we have mist and fog and things, you know, like on some days I can only see a mile ahead, but some days I can see 20 miles. What I can see is that when I go to Calais on a good day, I can see White Cliffs of Dover. And you can't deny that. You go there yourself and see the White Cliffs of Dover. Okay, so if you can see the White Cliffs of Dover on spherical trigonometry based on Pythagoras Theorem, that's not my maths, that's pseudoscience maths, you know, like Pythagoras Theorem. Anyway, okay, you might know it. Anyway, so the highest peak is 350 feet, okay? But 300 feet should be missing. And yet when you're on Calais, you can see the entirety of the White Cliffs of Dover. Why? Now, either the world is flat, okay? So we are on a flat plane, or that's bullshit. That's wrong. Can't have it both ways. It's one or the other. I'm just thinking, I can't convince anyone here in 5 minutes. You've got an education. I had an education. And no one convinced me in 5 minutes. But all I'm saying is that if I can give a seed for you to make further examinations on it all, that's it. And we want people to just go to FE Start, watch a couple of videos, and make up your own conclusions. And then, do you all know what the word debunk is? No. Okay. Yeah. Well, I spent 4 months trying to debunk and pull all this apart because, well, it is nonsense. Of course we live on a ball. But so I tried 4 months. I did about 18-hour days. Sometimes I did 36 hours straight. You know, like because I kind of got wrapped up in it a little bit. And I'm telling you, I mean, like you'll fail miserably trying to prove that you live on a globe. You'll fail on it. It's 2018, for God's sake. And I mean,
I don't know what to do.
yeah, I know it's difficult. You know what?
But it's difficult because all your life you heard that.
Well, read that for me. Can you read that?
You
believe in adventure.
Yeah, of course, I'm agree with that completely.
Oh, well, that's what I was suffering with. That speaks to me. That was me. You know, like I felt as though that it spoke volumes to me. Because it was, sorry, but it's really good talking to you. Yeah, I mean, it did. It spoke volumes to me. I was a 47-year-old man, and I believed everything about what education and science taught me, and I swallowed it all up. But why would I think anything different and all that?
Me too. I'm thinking the same.
Well, even when I was doing my 4 months' worth of studying about this, I still had my doubts. I still wanted to hold on to that ball, and you know, of course it.
Yeah, because that's the base.
Yeah. There you go. And you can see cognitive dissonance is what I was struggling with, and I just felt as though it was written for me.
Because I heard about it. That's why I was like, oh, because I heard about it that the world was flat. A few friends they used to say that,
and
I was like, no.
You've got to challenge it yourself, you know. And I keep saying to anyone that comes involved in this, don't believe anything that's in that leaflet, anything that's written down here, anything that we say. Challenge it for yourselves, you know, like just because I think that people are weak-minded, you know, like if they just go, oh yeah, there's a bloke in the street, so the world's flat, you know, oh yeah, just believe him.
Now the people have less, how do you say in English?
I don't believe in NASA. I don't believe in
no knowledge anymore. Nothing. Just TV.
Well, I think there's a few people that are gullible as well.
There is a few, but not a lot. Trust me. They're gonna say you are crazy. Oh, he's crazy. Locked him up.
Yeah. I mean, now that I did all that research and all that, I think honestly, I want to rattle everyone and shake you all about and say, wake up for God's sake! And like, what are you doing? You know, you can't believe in this rubbish and that.
Yeah,
but I understand because I was there fully.
All our life. Me too. Education, I'm not really agree with that anymore now.
Yeah.
So history and this kind of.
Well, there's so many problems with history. You know, like
To be honest, I used to trust everything.
Well, you heard the term the winners write the history books.
No.
No. Well, that's what it's a bit of a term. The winners write the history books. So any war that happened, whoever won, they're the ones that write in the history books.
Yeah,
you know, the losers are not going to.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, so our histories have been manipulated.
Yeah, completely.
You know, like
completely.
Well,
I didn't know that. When I was so sad and I hated the education. Well, to be honest,
Yeah. So, okay, so you've heard a little bit of flat Earth and all that.
Yeah, that's
what about like NASA and that? You know, like where was you on that? Did we go to the moon?
I don't think so now. To be honest, I'm not agree with that.
Okay. No. Do you have anything that kind of like you can share with us that?
I have nothing, but I checked a little because I used to believe that.
Yeah, I did. Massive believer.
Like I'm strong.
Of course,
yeah. Because I know it's like that. But now I'm a little bit. I don't think so. To be honest.
Where are you on the moon?
Non, qu'à l'examen.
Oh, right, sorry, I didn't realise you didn't speak English.
My English is not good. Donc qu'à l'examen, do you trust هذو اللي مشاو on the moon? تمشاو على ذاك المون. American ولا الأرمسترونغ شات طلع قال لك زعما he's on the moon تمشى وداك الشيء. You believe that?
I don't know.
You see? No, but seriously,
it's difficult. Yeah, I mean, you should believe it. I mean, like, of course we went. You know, we've seen rockets go up, but we always see rockets go up and then they go off in the distance. You know, we don't see a rocket go all the way up. What are you talking about? You know, but so like when the limb kind of landed, you know that there's no blast crater underneath. You know, like that there's noises in space that we can hear. You know, he throws a rope on their limb, and you could hear them noises, and there was no microphones there. You can there's lots of shadows that shouldn't be there. There's lots of oh god, there's no dust on the legs. No dust. Oh god.
Another things I heard about something, but I can't remember something very weird. Like when you look, you're like, yeah, it's true. I don't know, but I can't remember.
So we don't believe that they went to the moon, not a chance, and we don't believe satellites are in space. We don't believe that there's.
Me too now, satellites.
Really? Okay, and it's only because you need to understand what is direct heat and radiative heat. You know, like direct heat is, you putting your pan on top of a cooker. That's direct heat. Okay, and the sun using its radiative heat coming through this space and then hitting our atmosphere, and it heats up all the air molecules here, and then you've got direct heat and radiative heat. Okay. But in the vacuum of space, there is no direct heat. Okay, but we still got radiative heat. Otherwise, how would because radiative heat has still got to come to the Earth. So we've still got radiative heat. If there's any metal tin can in space, then that will still be bombarded with radiative heat, and it heats up and it heats up. So the vacuum of space is like 0 degrees and less, okay? So it's really cold in space. But once the sun hits any of these, tin cans, then radiative heat, the temperatures increase up to 2,500 degrees Celsius. That's but the melting point of this is 600 for aluminium and 1,500 for titanium. That's the melting point.
Can I ask you a question? If you think that the Earth is flat,
okay,
so is the eternity? I mean, infinity, no? I mean, where is going to stop? So I want to know if it's flat.
Okay, you'll appreciate that we can't answer you that because I can give you a theory. Okay. So in space, it's meant to be an ever-expanding universe, and we believe that space is infinite.
Me too.
Okay, because that's what we were told. Why can't that be the same for land?
Okay, so why we cannot go For you is there is no end for you. So on the Earth.
All the 53 countries in the world signed the Antarctic Treaty.
Okay.
So Antarctica has got a treaty, and you're not allowed to go. You're not allowed to go, or say to the mate. He just said then he had a friend that goes to the South Pole. But if you do try to, if you get on a boat tomorrow and you try to go, you'll be turned away.
No.
And you'll be put in prison if you persist. And this is happening. You're not allowed to go.
In Antarctica?
Antarctica Treaty. Okay, so you're not allowed to go there. And
I know.
Check on YouTube, and there'll be on my website there. On that website, you'll come across a video called Admiral E. Bird.
Okay.
And Admiral E. Bird, he goes to South Pole, the Antarctica, and he goes.
So the end. So.
Well, he goes beyond it, and he says he's an admiral. He took 3,500 troops. You know, like part of the naval. Big guy took I think it was like 3 frigates down there, and that. You know, 3 ships and that. And he went beyond the South Pole, and in an interview, and you can check on YouTube, in an interview, and was it in America, I think it's 1950s or something, he says that he come across more land bigger than America. That's what he says. Now he's an admiral.
So I can ask you another question. Okay, so why they are lying to us? Why they are saying to us we are living in a
one could be more land. One could be more land. Admiral E. Bird says there's more land.
Okay, I know.
Okay.
So the rich gonna go and live there. I know.
There you go. Elites and rich. Two, NASA gets £53 million per day. Okay, so that's a bit of control. I don't think they actually need that money, but they're taking that money away from you and me, and they take money
because we are nothing for them.
And then you've got all the other space agencies. They're all taking money away from us as well. So there's more money's been taken away.
Maybe they are creating another. No, I'm thinking about. Yeah, they are completely.
And it's very possible. People have been asking me today, when the rockets go up, where do they go? Well, we see them go up, and then we see them go out. Could they be going off to more land?
Yeah.
Possibly. So there's all we can do is offer food for thought and get you to go home, watch a couple of videos on there.
Watch it. No, seriously, because I heard about it. I had my brother, he said to me, what do you think? The Earth is round or flat? I'm like, yeah, it's round. He was like, but no, you stupid. I'm intelligent.
Yeah.
Well, so I was a little bit thinking about...
up until a year ago, I believed that people were walking down upside down in Australia. I thought they were down there. I don't believe that now. How can people be upside down?
I know, because now we are... Ouais. Ça, c'est vrai, hein? Oh là là. Je n'ai pas fait. Ouais, ça arrive.
All right.
Thank you.
It's nice talking to you both.
Me too. Have a good day. See you.
Have a good time. Bye-bye.
Like this is front of this, did no space.
We are very There is zero parallax. There's never been no parallax. There's no stars, you know what parallax is? Yeah. Stars going different directions. There is none of that. It doesn't exist. All the stars have their 12 constellations, and you've got 7 planets that retrograde. You can also go backwards, and it's all measured. Yeah?
So explain how we know in 100 years to the second when there's going to be an eclipse.
It takes 72 years for 1 degree of motion of the stars to revolve around us. That takes 24,977 years for a full circuit of the stars around us. I've looked into this, I know this. That's how they're able to predict exactly when the moon is going to be in front of the sun. Exactly. Yeah?
I'm glad you explained that to me. I wanted to know that as well.
Luckily, that's
very good. Even
that's wakey. That's wakey.
It's still perfectly aligned with Orion's belt. Even Polaris is still in the same place. I mean, sailors use Polaris for North Star. I mean, night after night. I mean, like, if we're spinning and we're travelling around, what's it, at 67,000 miles an hour, and we're travelling through the solar system 500,000 miles an hour, our universe, our solar system is going for another 500,000 miles an hour, and then we're going around our solar system and we're coming back through our season, doing our 6-month cycle. And we can still see the North Star, and we can still, and these stars are still perfectly aligned after all this. Now remember, all these stars, they're actually doing their own spinning and their own trajectories and being pulled at their own speeds and all that. They should be going in every direction. Parallax,
every expanding universe.
You should see parallax every other bloody night, I would think. You know?
You've got to look into it. Or you don't have to. It's up to you.
Yeah, parallax is one of my favourite subjects.
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
It is.
You would expect some curvature, yes or no? Curvature. Look, we're on board, remember? So you need curvature.
It's very animate.
Say we was on
there must be a good
where's the curvature? Because it's sloping down, isn't it? Look, it's sloping down. Can you see that? And that's
really
why
good.
they put it here. Like,
oh, I laugh once.
hold the side of the earth.
Can I ask a question? This is more of a philosophical question. So your main point is that we can't trust scientists.
No, we cannot trust mainstream science.
Okay, we can't
what
trust...
we can trust is the scientific method,
right, okay.
which we can apply.
So we can't trust...
Not what they can apply.
So we can't trust the mainstream...
Everyone can apply science without having a PhD.
Okay. Everybody is a scientist, a mathematician and a scholar. We've been trained and put in boxes. You can only do this, you can only do that. But in reality, you can learn anything you want right now.
Cool. So we can't trust mainstream scientists. We have to do the research ourselves.
Yes, sir. That is exactly
Here's the problem. Is it really realistic to research every single little aspect of the world?
That's the problem we got.
To some extent, we have to trust authorities and experts, right? Because we can't just do every little research ourselves.
Okay, when one skittle
we already have done all the research ourselves, though. They've hijacked it from us and selling it back to us.
When we realised we didn't go to the moon, we cannot get out. They're saying there's a Van Allen belt, or is there, ain't there?
Got tissue back, that's my
There's
gravity
a
ball.
load of kind of stuff like this. Basically, we've never left Earth. So we haven't left low Earth orbit.
Right.
We've never been outside low Earth orbit. So we can't. Why can't they take a beautiful picture of our lovely planet Earth?
An actual photograph.
You're going to tell me that it's not real.
No, this is
composite images. The guy's called Rob Simmons, right? And he gets like a collection of images and he stitches them together, right? He makes the clouds himself and everything, And he says he's never been to space, so he doesn't know what the Earth looks like. He just does it what he thinks it looks like.
Control Z a lot. That's what he says. Control Z. There's artistry in
Control V. That's face. Control Z. You can look it up yourself on your phone now.
The Earth has become smaller.
Thank you. Now you're getting it. Yes, it. Yeah.
This is NASA's own photograph.
Don't believe that. Don't believe it. Go online to NASA. See it for yourself.
Okay.
It'll blow your mind.
Suppose
you took a direction. You just said, I'm going in this direction.
So we're hypothetically speaking, imaginary again.
Yeah, this is fine. Okay, let's suppose you were walking.
Suppose, I don't like supposing things. I like doing things and showing things.
I'm just giving you an idea. For maybe something to do over the summer.
Right.
Fun. So you walk in one direction and you just stick to that direction. Okay. Suppose you walked, and then when there's water, you take a boat or something, but you hold to that same direction, and then you end up in the same place. Will you then give up your belief?
Is it possible?
If that happens. That's not possible. You can't walk on water.
Why don't you try?
Yeah.
You can take a boat.
We go around the continents.
Going in the same direction.
But you can't because the continents and things like that. It's not possible. You're not even allowed to fly in a straight line.
Name me
go
one
over
person
certain
who's
areas,
ever
you're
done
not
this in
allowed to go in a
mankind.
straight line
One
anywhere
person
on
who's
Earth.
walked a straight line.
That's not an actual
What I'm saying is,
experiment.
yeah, but
that would be the
Yeah,
proof.
so one
that would be the
person.
proof of your
If that's your
There's things
proof
like
of
the
something,
Antarctic Treaty,
name one
and you're not
person
allowed
who's
to
done
fly
it.
over certain zones on Earth. Do you know what I mean? That's why flight paths are all weird.
But if, but if you did try, it's worth trying, right?
Yeah, it's worth trying to get shot out the sky by military because you haven't got a contract or you haven't paid enough money. Not dying for the truth. Yeah, just I'll commit suicide for the truth.
Okay, I just think that it would be an amazing proof if you could just do that and realize.
It would be.
It would be, mate. Honestly, and we're begging for people to get together to do experiments
Let's
together.
organise an expedition together to
This is
all
what I
walk
mean.
in the same
We have to, because no globe person's ever gone north to
research.
south, ever.
Yeah, you need to research
We have
the
to.
Antarctic Treaty and you'll understand why it's not possible to do that.
Here's my plan. This is what we should do. We should pick a direction. We should walk and we should vlog every single day and film what we see. And then there's like one film for every day.
Constant loop of
and then we
everything,
show everybody and say, look, we started in this direction. We did not change our direction, and we did not end up in the same place.
Yeah, that's the problem. How do you know?
The only way you'd know is the way
You're going to say GPS?
by following the sun.
Oh, it'd be GPS.
Basically, by following the sun and the stars and the moon, that is the way you would know you're going straight, yeah?
That's what they're there for. Navigate.
Exactly. Thank you very much, my man. That's it. The compass works. The compass works on basically the centre of the flat Earth map. It all goes to the centre.
Yeah.
Everything to the centre.
Oh, that's not the way a compass works. You hold it level.
Where's the centre? In the centre of the flat Earth map.
What's the centre?
There you go, buddy.
That's the flat Earth map, and that's
it's on
the
there.
centre. Look, there. Does that make
So
sense?
the North Pole to
That's
centre.
North Pole, yeah.
Okay, so when I have a compass, it always points towards the North Pole, right?
There is no South Pole.
So when you're in Australia, where does it point to?
So it points towards
Let's
the
say,
North Pole.
let's put yourself in Australia.
Sorry?
Pretend you're in Australia right now.
Okay.
Right, where's it going to point to?
Point to the North Pole.
Really? What north's down there?
It points to the centre.
No, you're in Australia. North's down there.
What do you mean?
North's down there. If you're in Australia, where's north?
Where's that
here and you're right.
North.
Okay,
The north.
okay, let's
down there.
let's
I'm in
imagine.
Australia.
Hang on,
Where's
I'm
that?
listening to
So I
this.
have to go right through the whole Earth. The north is down there. So I've got to point the compass down, do I? Is that how compasses work? Compasses can only work on a flat, level plane.
Sorry.
So if we let the air out, right? This is our ball. We let the air out. This is what's really going on. We're in the centre. Imagine that's flat. We're in the centre. That's basically it. So you just unflake the blue.
Yeah,
Okay.
And then you get your reality.
Why don't
which is
we
this.
all go into the edge of the Earth, to the ice?
There is no edge. There is no. Yeah, okay.
That's programming. You've all been programmed to think that these flat earthers believe in it.
So there's no edge of the Earth?
We don't know. We've never been.
But you told me
But
that there was a wall of ice
space
around
is
the
infinite.
There's a wall of ice, yeah.
There's space
so why don't we
infinite.
go there? Let's go. Let's go.
Because you're not allowed.
But we
They
can
won't
try.
let you.
Antarctic
They won't let you.
Treaty.
Shall I tell you why? There's a
Then
treaty signed.
you'll be put in prison. You're put in prison.
I want to go to the wall of ice.
All the big countries all signed a thing. They never argue over Antarctica.
Right, okay.
Have you ever heard an argument over Antarctica? That's a big piece of the pie, isn't it?
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, why haven't they? Do you know why? Because they're all in it together,
Right.
and basically it's all a bit of a fix where they know what's going on, and they're not letting Joe blogs like me and you ever go there.
But I think
because they're saying this.
Can I ask you a question? I had a history teacher once. Anytime you write anything in history, when you use the word they, you use the mark next to it. You say who's they? So who's they?
The governments.
The people who signed the 53 countries of the Antarctic Treaty. All the signatories. That's the they.
They're the they.
So how does one go about deprogramming?
And we're us.
Well, just got to look it up online.
Yeah,
Antarctic
You
Treaty.
say we would deprogram. How do you deprogram yourself?
Well, that's what we're here for. We're trying to get you to critically think for yourself and not follow beliefs.
No, you deprogram yourself by doing your own science, like on water. See that cup there? That drink is going to be exactly horizontal. So we know the sea is like that and water acts like that. The water in your
Physics of water.
is exactly
Behaviour of
level.
water.
Now I've got all my proofs. Now where's these ball earth
You don't have a proof. You're saying they.
No, I'm just saying.
Generalising
Okay.
the they and then you're justifying with programming.
Well, we've got to generalise, mate, because we can only go on to like he said, she said. You know what I mean? We're not playing them games. We're here about this. Yeah, we're not going to go off onto tangents. So we say they. We have to generalise. We're talking about the ruling class, mate. The people that own our lives. The people that profit from our
Antarctic
existence.
Treaty.
Can I just make a point?
How the
How would the government benefit from the Earth being flat or round.
Well,
Why
listen,
would,
mate.
because they're siphoning off all the money for fake space. You know the moon landing.
Yeah, but money is made up.
Can I just tell you something? Do you know the moon landing in 1960? How much they took off the Americans, the American people? About £40 billion. To go to fake space, to go to the moon. There wasn't no moon.
It seems more expensive to make.
What's the motive, mate?
Okay, you give me 50 billion and then I'll show you something.
You don't want to hear the answer, mate. Listen to me then, right? Why would they do it? Yeah, is that what you're saying? Why? What would they benefit from it?
Whoever they are, you know, they.
Listen, bro. Listen. Right? If you're not going to listen, fuck off, and I'll answer someone else's questions. It's simple as.
Oh, no. Let's be civil.
No, because listen. He's not listening. Is that? What do you mean when?
Well, it's a conversation. It's two-way though. I mean, if you answer a question, you've got to wait for the answer. It's two-way.
Yeah, the ruling class, the people that profit off our existence. Yeah, I don't know who they are. I can't name them, but there are people profiting off all our existence. Why do they want to?
We don't know the answers.
Yeah.
We don't know all the answers.
Right.
No.
Why would a group of psychotic criminals lie to the slaves? That's what the question you just asked me.
Why are we going to war all the time?
Right,
Yeah.
listen, we are slaves, mate. You can't avoid it.
Because we've got psychopaths running this world. That's why we're at war at the time.
Without showing your passport?
Yeah, just get on a boat and drive
Yeah, mate. Good luck with that.
going as far as I want to go.
You've got a wild imagination, you have, mate. See you in a bit. I'm done.
No, but I'm just wondering.
How free are you? How long can you go on a tandem?
I own my house.
Didn't realise.
How long
Is he
can
trolling?
you go on a tandem?
Trolling.
Do whatever you want.
Sorry, I didn't realise he's one of them. Just move away.
Isn't it familiar how people go to a
You guys, we were having a good debate with you guys. Well, we're done. Yeah. It just.
Yeah, I have it in my pocket.
Good man,
but
yeah.
I gotta say this.
Go on, yeah.
You really need to organise this expedition to the ice
You
rig.
need to organise it.
I'll come with you.
You're the one who wants to do it.
I'm on this expedition.
See,
We'll go
we
together.
know. The problem is, we know that we live on a flat Earth. You guys just believe that you're on a globe.
Because we want to see.
We know.
We want to see the.
You need to prove that you live on a globe.
We're just sharing the love, just sharing the enlightened information, which was there all the time. You know, all the time it's been there for thousands of years. Why are you trying to tell like all these religious, like they're all saying it's flat, yeah?
Yeah.
And so the lovely brainwash they come up with in the last 200 years is just like basically just made you into some sort of a spinning monkey on a spinning fake ball.
That we're insignificant.
So you want people to believe that the Earth is flat?
No, I don't. I know it's flat.
Okay, but you want other people to agree, right? You
No,
want them to know the
we're
truth.
showing you.
Yeah.
But we want to do your own research. That's it.
No, but what better way to do this than to organise an expedition?
Yes.
And go off.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Let's do it together.
We might do that. We might do that. It sounds good.
No, but wouldn't it be better if we just do something like what we're doing now, where we can just discuss with
Because
you
this is
now?
just words. We want to see it.
We want to go.
We want to see.
Yeah, but now you know about it. You're thinking, hold on a minute.
We want to be sure. Yeah, we want to be
no,
sure.
we want to be sure as well.
It's like doubting Thomas, right? You know.
Did you take one of our leaflets?
Yeah, we've got one. Thank you.
Good, because it's got that web address in there. If you ever want to do an expedition, just
you do an expedition,
make a contact on there.
Do you know what? Do you know what you should do? Listen to me.
Where do we sign up?
Eric Dubay, look up Eric Dubay, The History of Flat Earth or 200 Proofs. Me personally, I went for The History of Flat Earth first, but they're kind of the same. But please look that up. He will show you everything we've told you, even more proof, even so much proof, all the laser proof, all the level experiment. You know, like a level. You know when builders build a house, they use a level, don't they?
A water level.
That's worked on water because water's level straight. Yeah, you can't build nothing without it being. Thank you, my friend.
Right.
Thank you, my friend. That's it. You know, this man's got a bit of common sense.
Check out the Bedford level experiment.
Yeah, look up Eric Dubay.
Can I suggest one more idea? Can I suggest one more idea?
Yeah.
Can you construct a space shuttle or some kind
Put
of
a
rocket?
camera on the moon. Solve the whole lot.
Not that.
I believe
Rocket
that.
To go off up to reach that bit with the water at the top. Right, you know, because there's a sea above us, right? He was telling us. So if you could create a rocket, and then we could all go together to the sea at the top. Do you think that would be a good idea?
Well,
worthwhile project.
For me, that would just be a theory or a belief because I've never been up there. So I don't know whether there's a dome or
Oh, no,
anything.
because he was saying.
Well,
He was saying that there's a dome.
okay, but that might be his theory or belief.
Fair enough,
you know.
But do you agree about the ice? Right?
Sorry?
Do you agree about the ice expedition?
Well, I've seen photographs of it. You know, like so. But I've also, I do. I've got a yacht. I'd love to go. My yacht's too small. Need a bigger one.
Classic. Right, we're gonna head. Right, let's go.
Let's go. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice speaking to you.
Just a question.
Go ahead.
You think the Earth is flat? But
yes.
You think it's like a cube, like just to say.
Oh well, we don't know. I believe that space is infinite. I'm told that there's an ever-expanding space. So, in my logic, maybe Earth is an ever-expanding plane. Maybe. But I don't know. I've never been to... I know that I'm not allowed to go to Antarctica. I'm not allowed to go because there's the Antarctica Treaty that's signed by 53 countries that says that I'm not allowed to go and you're not allowed to go. And if you do go by yourself, unattended and that, you'll be arrested. You'll be sent away. If you persist, you'll be put in jail. Because that's happening. You're not allowed to go.
If you went from east to like all the way, if you walked and you saw and you ended up in...
Well, you go around the continents east to west, don't you? So if I walk around you east to west, you know, like, I don't think that you are a globe. I can go around you.
You might take something there, but more like, would you survive?
Say that again?
Would you be able to survive there?
What, in Antarctica? Oh, well, that's the question, isn't it? Yeah, there's a possibility. I don't know. You know, every picture that I've ever seen, all the pictures, they always seem calm in sun and everything, Antarctica, and yet we're told that it's meant to be, you know, a hostile space and all that. But every video, every picture, it looks... kind of looks a bit like this today, you know, like it's quite, you know, sunny and white. It's weird.
Just trying to get there, he was feeling dead.
Yeah. So I don't know, you know, like we're told it's a hostile place, but I'm not sure if I believe it.
There are excursions that you can go, but it costs so much money.
£80,000 to go and stay in a tent for a week, and you can only go with your aid, and I think you get to see a pretend ceremonial South Pole. I think there's like a silver ball. You put your hand in, you see a load of globes on there. You get your picture taken, and say, "Oh, I was at the South Pole." You're not actually at the South Pole, but you're told you are. But how could you prove otherwise?
What are the requirements to go?
Say that again.
What are the requirements, like medical requirements?
I imagine that. I don't know. Your money's a requirement. That's it. Money. Any sort of money. Yeah. Forget about your health. I mean, like, what is it? Buzz Aldrin went down there recently. I know. You've got to remember, they're talking about Antarctica. That is meant to be bigger than America. I mean, you're talking about some sort of contamination. Really? I mean, at what village? At what town? Do you know how big it is? I mean, like, it just seems a bit nonsense, that, you know. Yeah, no. But anyway, we can't change anyone's opinions. You shouldn't believe anything I've got to say or anyone else.
Your opinion. I want to understand
FE Star, go to there, and there's a couple of videos in there. I mean, that's NASA's original pictures. That's NASA 2012, 2013. Okay, there's the same circle, same size circle, and yet you can look at the size of America there. I would just say, go online and don't believe that. Discredit, say, "Oh no, I've done some sort of photoshopping and all that." But go online, check it out for yourself, and it'll just blow your mind apart. You'll think, "Well, that has to be bullshit." You know, check it out.
So you say the reason it can't be a...
okay?
Yeah, go for
yes,
it.
That's okay.
The reason it can't be a sphere, it can't be a globe, is because the water would fall off. Is that the idea that was on the poster over here?
Well, I know mainstream science wants you to believe that it's gravity holding it all in, even though we've got a 1,000 miles.
But you're saying that
because
if it were all around it, it would just fall off the bottom, right? So that's what you're saying? Because the gravity doesn't work in that way.
Because it's 2018,
right?
And gravity today should be proven to you today. It should be proven.
Okay.
And yet it's not.
So you're saying that it's flat and it has these ice walls that hold it in like a big pool, essentially.
Because water has to be contained, yeah?
Right.
It's got water in it. Look, it's contained.
Real quick, hold on. So it can't stay on the globe, right? Because the gravity doesn't work that way. Because it's not proven. But it's in this pool, right, with the walls. How does it stay in the pool if there isn't gravity?
In what way?
What?
Sorry, you've lost me there.
So gravity holds the things together, right? Right. That's what they say. They say gravity holds things together. Hold on. They say gravity holds things together, right?
Yeah.
So that would hold it on the globe. But you say it's not proven. They haven't proven that. So it's in this pool.
Okay.
Well, if there's no gravity to hold the things together, why doesn't it just float out of the pool?
Because before gravity came across, okay, they always believed in density and buoyancy. And density, buoyancy, okay.
And how does that work?
Okay, well that works. That if I drop this, the molecules in this are heavier than the air around it. Okay.
Well, what's heaviness? How do you find that something's heavy?
As that falls down, the buoyancy part of it, the air wants to rise above it, and that's the buoyancy part. So density and buoyancy, okay, that's what that is, and it always was. That's why a helium balloon. I mean, you've learned this at school. That's why a helium balloon that is lighter than the air around rises, and gravity says, "Oh, it's okay, I'll let you go." And yet gravity's so strong, it'll hold the moon in place, and it'll hold all the oceans in place, and it'll let little butterflies go. Oh, you can go as well.
So let's use a balloon example. You got a balloon, it's filled with helium, right? You're saying it's lighter than the air, so it goes up. Why is it light? There's air in it. What's different? Why is that air different than the air around it? Why does it go up? What's the reason?
You need to, ask your own science.
Well, I know.
Okay, tell us why.
Well, the reason is that the molecules, the tiny little pieces, are smaller. They have less mass, which is the amount of things in them, right? And the gravity, the force between
So you just said density, okay.
No, they're not the same.
You don't think they're the same? You don't think density is the same?
Weight, and density are entirely different.
Really?
They're related. They're
We're related now.
Right?
I know what you've been educated to believe, but you're parroting something that you can't prove. And that's why gravity has never been proven today. It's 2018, for God's sake. 2018. That should be a done deal. I shouldn't be challenging that. That's fact. 2018, and no one can prove gravity.
Gravity's actually never been proven in that formal sense.
Show what
it's been shown.
Show the effects of something dropping, but I can say that's density.
No, well, it doesn't have to just be something dropping, because maybe that's just something that pushes towards the middle of the earth. Maybe that's not exactly gravity, like we said. Right? Things falling, maybe that is density. But how have people described gravity, right? What do they say it is? They say
masses.
It's masses that pull each other together. So how have they said, maybe this could work in a different way?
Okay.
So what someone did is they took a huge lead ball.
Cavendish experiment.
Stick. Yep.
Okay.
And they said, look, they attract each other.
And you know what? That seems a worthwhile experiment. Yeah, I do. Except for in this day and age, you can't prove that today. It's not successfully proven anywhere.
Yes, it is. They do that experiment. They've repeated that experiment with the scientific method.
But you can with lead, because it has static properties. But if you try and prove it without, no, static does attract. You know, like he'll tell you that static attracts. Okay, so you can't. Does static not attract?
No, static isn't a force.
Static.
Do you know what?
Go and see the lead properties. Go and see what the lead properties are, and there is a static on lead. Try and do that same experiment.
That's its ability to hold
with the density of, say, concrete or something. Okay, let's compress some concrete. Do that same experiment. Bet it fails every time.
TV is excellent.
Okay, but I've never seen the Cavendish experiment actually working. Anyway? Prove that. Tell everyone where you can see that, maybe that video, YouTube or something, of the Cavendish experiment being successful. Tell people.
Maybe YouTube. I haven't.
And yet I've been searching for quite some time now. Try looking for it. It doesn't exist.
All right, I'll go give it a try.
Welcome to the Satellite Hoax. Alright, let's do this.
It's a really hard pill to take when somebody says that satellites could be fake. But don't you find it a little suspicious that you can't find any real satellite pictures? It might be hard to be believed, but maybe we're all being deceived. Yeah, maybe, Listen up. Well, if you think you see one up in the sky, you can't see it with the naked eye, because a satellite is about the size of a car, at least 300 miles away. You can't see that far, whatever those thoughts are to move in the night. I'm telling you, there ain't no satellite. Welcome to the Satellite Hoax, just another one of them NASA jokes. You get by me a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space, type that phrase into Google, folks. Let me welcome you to the Satellite Hoax. Now before all of y'all start getting pissed, I ain't saying that satellites don't exist. I'm saying that it's theoretically absurd to think these devices orbit the Earth, 'cause I've seen them hanging from big balloons. even Google's doing it too now, man. Have you seen that? Yeah, go check out Project Moon. And every now and then a satellite crashes, but that information never gets to the masses. Cause then you'll find out how these things really work. They're just on balloons, man, they don't orbit the Earth. Cause once upon a time one crashed in Brazil with the balloon attached to its steel. Welcome to the satellite hoax, just another one of them NASA jokes. You give a 5E a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place when I search satellites in space. Yeah, type that phrase into Google, folks. Let me welcome you to the satellite hoax. Yeah, check it out, man. How could satellites be in the thermosphere when the temperature up there is way too severe? How can that type of equipment survive? How comes those satellites aren't burned alive? I'm telling you, man, it's just a pack of lies. There ain't no orbiting satellites, because 99% of our communication comes from undersea cables and cell tower stations. A GPS is ground-based too, man. Go check out a system called LORAN. It's a military system for navigation that uses ground towers to track your location. Are you seeing it yet? Welcome to the satellite hoax, just another one of them NASA jokes. You give a 5E a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place when I search satellites in space. Yeah, type that phrase into Google, folks. Let me welcome you to the satellite hoax. You see, Tesla figured out how to communicate without the need for satellites in space. It's mostly ground-based towers, you see, and that's how you get your satellite TV. They've monetized what Tesla made for free with their fake satellite industry. It was Arthur C. Clarke that theorized these things, the sci-fi boxes with solar wings. Another Freemason, it's no surprise. They make science fiction and they monetize. They've stolen Tesla's technology and they get you to pay for your TV. Are you seeing it now, people? Welcome to the satellite hoax, just another one of them NASA jokes. You give a 5E a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place when I search satellites in space. Yeah, go type it into Google right now, and let me welcome you to the satellite hoax. So next time you see a photo of the Earth from space, look for satellites. You won't find a trace. Ah, they must have disappeared, I guess. Can't even see any from the ISS. If you want to have yourself a little enjoyment, go watch a NASA satellite deployment. Oh, man. Let me well